tires. Start your engines!
Ready. Green flag. All rolling. Stay in. Come on. Bye-bye, Sonny. See you later. These guys are really good. Keep digging. Stay in the gas. Hang on, dude, baby. Did not hit a thing. Why are you waiting so long, man? Bottom's clear, shaking you down here. White flag. Hit your mark.
And we are live. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of NWP. Really quick, let's just get it right off the bat. Our buddy and guest for tonight, David Land, will be on later. Don't worry, he will be on. We've communicated it with him, so just pass it on. And yes, as I've seen in the chat, we've fallen off, but not as much as Kyle Busch. No, I'm sorry, I had to say it. If you guys watch my post-race stream, Kyle Busch fans were big mad because I said that Ricky did nothing wrong. And I'm spoiling stuff right now. Guys, let's get into North Wilkesboro. You know what? I don't want to even start this out. Let's just... Danny, I want you to tell us about your thoughts on Joey Logano basically becoming the field's father.
Well, it was refreshing, honestly, the whole race to see Ford just somehow look dominant in this one. I think for the longest time they had Ford at top 5 spots. But the fact that it was Joey Logano, you're like, is this the resurgence of even year Joey Logano that we're just now starting to see it? Or is it that weird Joey Logano where he becomes the first to do something on new things because this was the first race on a new North Wilkesboro surface? Or is this just the peak of Joey Logano and he never does anything more the rest of the season? I don't know what to expect of Joey Logano at this point because he looked like his normal self this race, and it was weird to see that after the year he's had.
I'm glad we're starting off with Joey Logano, Jarrett, because I feel like so many have glossed over the fact that he won this race and did so in dominating fashion. This is huge, a huge momentum boost. A couple weeks ago, he admitted that the team is kind of hitting the panic button. They've been lost. Turns around just a couple weeks later and gets a big fat win. Doesn't help his playoff eligibility. He's still currently outside of the playoff picture, but there's plenty of time to make up those points. And this win could be the first of several. You never know. We've seen Team Penske turn things around suddenly in the past. Usually it's in the playoffs late in the year, and whether it's Logano, Blaney, they go on a red hot championship run. But now maybe they figured things out a bit earlier. I'm excited. It's back-to-back wins for Ford if you include Darlington. So I'm excited that as much fun as it's been to talk about Joe Gibbs and Hendrick and their dominance, you have an RFK, a Penske maybe, 2311 moving into the picture. That's more interesting. More potential championship frontrunners as the year goes on.
You know, I found it funny this week when I was listening to Denny Hamlin's podcast, and once again, and I've noticed he's done this a lot this year, where he'll just say that practice doesn't matter. And he's like, practice doesn't matter. Like, it wouldn't have mattered, Jared, if we had practice because this, and this. It's clear he's talking out of the owner cap because Joey Logano had 800 laps of testing.
Yeah,
and he led 199 of the 200 in the main race. And I was thinking like that battle with Hamlin or one of them early in the race, like maybe someone clipped him at the line. I went on Twitter and saw that the lap he didn't lead was because his pit stall was before the start-finish line after one of the stages.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, that's a great point, though, about practice. Logano and I think Ty Gibbs was among the others who got hundreds of test laps here earlier this spring. And who won the Open? There's a reason Ty Gibbs was my pick to win the Open and win the All-Star race. If Kyle Busch doesn't get to him, he was making progress. You know, that practice does matter. You get so little seat time. You get so little seat time now that, you know, every session means that much more. And that was clear as day for Logano and Gibbs. But that's part of the reason why, while this is 2 straight wins for Ford, I'm not quite ready to say they're back. They're interesting again, but North Wilkesboro was a very specific track that specifically tailored to Joey Logano. So we'll have to see how they perform at Charlotte. Can they back up Blaney's Coke 600 win from last year. That I'm not so sure about, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show, of course.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I'm just still so bothered by the fact that Ty Gibbs seemingly had the fastest car of the weekend and wouldn't even take the right tires when it was time.
Yeah, he pit for prime tires when basically everybody else did options. And yeah, I was questioning that as well because he was making good progress the first run of the race and stalled out and got spun from there.
Well, we talked about how the race finished out. And before we talk about the extracurriculars, I do want to talk about what happened kind of during it and whatnot. And we're talking tires now. And Eric kind of laid us off here. Do you think that we saw a good enough improvement from these new tires, these option tires, or is it just sort of back to the drawing board?
Well, it is back to the drawing board in that Goodyear can continue to get more aggressive. I don't know how much more aggressive they physically can be. I mean, the rubber they used on these tires is effectively the wet weather tire rubber. So how much softer can they truly go? I don't even know what's technically and scientifically possible. So we'll have to wait and see there. But directionally, this was good. In practice, under the hot sun, we saw tires cording after 40 laps, similar to Bristol. Everyone anticipated that to be the case during the race Sunday night, but cooler temperatures prevented that. So I do think there are so many variables beyond just softer tires. Track temperature, weather conditions make a huge difference. But considering this was a freshly repaved racetrack, and we still saw that kind of tire wear, albeit in practice, is very encouraging and tells me we should try to bring this tire to Richmond, an abrasive surface, maybe Martinsville, or even Phoenix towards the end of the year, tracks that are more worn out than fresh North Wilkesboro. So even if they don't make any improvements to this tire, if they bring that tire to some of these other short tracks this year, I think the racing will be at least slightly improved.
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, it's a what's the word here? It's a path in the right direction, I think. It was definitely good to see, like, if you're going to try this any race, the All-Star race is definitely one to try it at. I wouldn't necessarily want to try this at, another short track we're going to go to.
New Hampshire. Is New Hampshire, Iowa, New Hampshire? What's next?
I would count Iowa in there.
Yeah, well, because I was like, I believe, I want to say it's like 8/10 or like 7/8.
It's basically a Richmond copycat, if I recall.
Yeah, it's I think a little bigger. It's like halfway between Richmond and Rockingham.
Doesn't it have progressive banking? I don't know if I don't think Richmond does, but Iowa kind of does.
It does, and I would have to check and chat. Definitely check me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe they haven't repaved it in a while either. It's like,
am I mistaken, or Iowa Speedway was like Rusty Wallace had a lot to do with that when it was being made.
He originally
essentially he took everything he loved about Richmond and told them to make that, but just a little better for him.
And that was probably the most badass track of the Xfinity series from about like late 2000s, early 2010s. If you look in that era, it's like that one and Road America were the ones that always put on the best shows. That, and I think like when they go up to Canada, but. Okay, 7/8, and no repave since 2006, says Peter.
It's in their logo. If you see the IS logo, they add like sort of some decals to make it look like 7/8. I didn't notice that until a couple of years ago. Someone pointed it out, and now I can't unsee it. I think that's so clever.
I've never seen it. I need to see this.
Yeah. Oh, if you could Google Iowa Speedway logo, I don't know if you're able to where you're at, but yeah.
How did I never notice that?
Yeah.
I'm probably just a dumbass. That's what it is.
Because I need someone needs to do it with every other logo. Turn somehow the Daytona logo into like 2.5.
Talladega 2.66.
Yeah. I don't know how that's a good exercise, good activity if you can make that happen.
Is that our meme for the night? Like, tag us on Twitter if you can make like Daytona or Talladega with their track.
Good luck. That sounds like a professional Photoshop job if I've ever heard one. Because good luck getting some of these tracks to squeeze into these specific numbers. Circuit of the Americas is what, like 4.3? I don't know. Yeah.
Or well, let's see. Martinsville is like 0.537 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm positive with it. I'm not going to go Dale Jr. side of it. He was like, North Wilkesboro is the best short track that there's ever been. I'm like, okay, Dale, like, yeah, I there's improvements, and I agree. It was really damn good for a repave.
Not bad, Grandpa.
Hold it back a little bit, man.
It was a really good repave. All the
was.
stuff people gave Marcus Smith and SMI, they cheaped out on
What
it.
are your predictions?
Was that the track would come up or whatever during the weekend? Wasn't that one of my predictions? And I heard people talk about it this weekend. They're shocked it didn't, but the bumps were still there. The character in many ways was still there. Tagged William Byron, wrecked him. He ran into some of that character on Sunday. So as repaves go, this track is about as like immediately raceable as it gets. So, sometimes I guess going the cheap way actually maintains some of the excitement. So hey, good job. Let's pretend SMI intentionally did it that way.
And we didn't even have to hear about the totally real, not a sinkhole moonshine cave this weekend.
They didn't. They kind of dropped that storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: like after everything that happened, and again, we're just gonna keep dangling this like right in front of the chat, like, hey, we're gonna talk about it eventually. Like, I don't see why they would bring it up again. But I mean, having the fact that even the truck race, without the option tires, without the horsepower talk, without all of this stuff the next gen is basically talking about, I thought it was generally a pretty good race. We'll talk about, I guess, a little about the truck race later, but I think as an overall weekend scope here, the fact that they could have these guys running way on the bottom early in a run and then have to drift more up towards the top, it kind of reminded me of, in little ways, it kind of reminded me of like a Darlington, in the sense that in Darlington, you got those fresh tires, you can run around the bottom, or Darlington's bottom of the track, and then you sort of wash more up the track as it goes. Charlotte can be like that sometimes. So I do think that there's a lot of promise here. I'm firmly now on the bus of we need Wilkesboro to be a points race. I think more cars out there would have helped with slower traffic throughout. I don't think it would have been perfect. There's the short track package has a lot. I mean, we're talking very positively because last year's race was so damn bad that it was like you were going to have to try on purpose to make this one worse.
Yeah. Like, I'll be interested to see what they do. They're bringing it back as an all-star race next year. I just want to see if the hype is maintained. We've talked all the time about, they do these big, bold, crazy things. Year one, it's exciting. It's different. Year two, yeah, still pretty good. Year three, okay, just another race. And then Bristol Dirt goes away. And then people want to leave the Charlotte Roval and so on and so on. The Clash is gone. The Clash Coliseum is gone. So like you saw, they removed the turn 2 grandstands. They're already taking grandstands away from North Wilkesboro this year. They didn't sell out the all-star race. Weather likely played a huge factor, so I'll keep that in mind. Ratings were up, so it's not all doom and gloom. But when you say make North Wilkesboro a points race, I'm okay with it just being the all-star race for the next year. Ask me again in 1 year, and I'll tell you if it should be a points race.
I heard from people who were there that like the hype felt the same.
Yes, that's what I heard too. Yeah, the atmosphere once you got there was still really good. So that's encouraging.
I would say there could be more hype because people are like, "What's the new surface going to be like?"
Yeah,
And for me, like I didn't see it on TV. Like I'm just gonna say I didn't see or feel that the way that I did at the track last year. Fox didn't capture it. Shocking. Well, we'll find a way to bring Fox, rope them into it. But that's something, whether it's on Fox, NBC, or maybe next year, or in years to come, if it's a Prime or TNT race, it's a points race, they need to capture that atmosphere. Because that atmosphere last year, I had never felt at a NASCAR race before, or at least had been a long ass time since I had felt just that camaraderie, that everyone being packed in like sardines. Like, it needs to be captured better. Really quick, before we get into the big business of the weekend, or of the night, I should say, we can do this really quick. What were your thoughts on Kyle Larson? Basically, well, he made it on time, but them moving the start time for him. Like, are you for it, against it, and would you do it for a points race? Danny, start us off.
Well, I was going to say, I'd probably be more impressed if he pulls it off this weekend, but there's some other factors into that may not be an issue after all. But we'll talk about that more later. But I personally wouldn't say that's fair to the field to push it back for a points race personally. This being the all-star race, it's just for fun. I'm okay with it for this one. I think that there's precedence, and I can't recall them ever doing that for Kurt Busch when he ran a double. They definitely didn't do it for, I think Robbie Gordon did the double. So no, I would not expect NASCAR to push back this race just for Kyle Larson. I know Kyle Larson is a, big superstar right now, but I would rather them not, just in all fairness to past competitors and the current field.
I think they should absolutely push the time back. No more than 30 minutes. If you're starting to say, hey, we're going to delay the race by 35, 40, 45 minutes, then you're pushing it. But 30 minutes or less, absolutely. If it comes down to that, the 600 this week, they should do that because Kyle Larson is the story. You could see it on TV. The fans at the track, Kyle Larson was the most popular driver at North Wilkesboro. Ratings for Indy qualifying were up 20-30%. Ratings for North Wilkesboro are up 12-15-17%, whatever it was. Like, Kyle Larson is the show. Is it fair? Would they do this for, somebody mentioned, like, would they do this for Justin Haley? Maybe not. It's not fair, but Kyle Larson is the closest thing we have right now to a superstar race car driver in NASCAR. Like, if they're going to bend the rules a little bit, go for it. Like, if you asked Denny Hamlin, hey, Kyle Larson just landed, but they're asking if you want to wait 15 minutes for him to get to his car, or you just want to start the race without him. I'll bet some of the drivers would say, let's start without him because that's a free win, But I'll bet a lot of drivers deep down would say, like, no, we want to race the best of the best. Like, let's wait 15 minutes. Like, Kyle, he's here, he's on it's like he's basically here. Like, I don't know. Do we really want to see Justin Allgaier in the 5? No, that's not what these 100,000 fans paid to see. So, I'm okay with 15 to 30 minute delays. Anything more than that, sure, that's extreme. But 15 to 30 minutes is reasonable because he is the story. He is the headline, and no other driver's creating headlines like he is. Actually, that's a terrible segue because Ricky Stenhouse Jr. did a pretty damn good job this weekend. So I stand corrected.
I'll get to that in a moment. I'll say All-Star race, I don't care. Like, the All-Star race has literally restarted people with backup cars because it's just one of those races. I saw people upset with it, whatever. I'd say the most I'd be willing to do for Larson is like 10, maybe 15.
Well, here's what I would say. I'm going to add on one thing. 15 to 30 minutes, but if you have to delay it at all, he should have to start at the rear.
Yes.
He doesn't get to keep his starting spot. Because obviously he missed driver intros, whatever.
He should, no matter what, missing the driver's meeting.
Yeah.
If he is, I agree with that. If he missed the driver's meeting, he should have to. If he is like, okay, if we're talking like the time frame is, we're really close to start a race, and he's like landed at the Charlotte airport. Okay, give him just enough time to get the helicopter over there in a golf cart. That's about it.
Well, we'll talk about in a bit. It might not be the option of flying a helicopter in there, depending on what happens. We'll get to that when it comes. But as much as like I don't want people to bring like, the credibility of the sport in, because they've moved stuff before. I mean, whether it be for weather, which I think is a natural thing they should move to or from with, whether they move it a day back all of a sudden or whatnot. Like, let's not pretend NASCAR hasn't bent their own rules to fit storylines. It was something Bill France Jr. used to do all the time. And it seems like people forget that with rose-colored glasses. It kind of like washes that part away. But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that the track does already. You could probably just like do one more like salute to the troops, and the fans would be like, "Yeah, baby, America!"
For a race like this, that's the way to mask it.
Like, you totally could. Like, maybe you do your like moment of silence instead of at halftime. We're gonna move it before the race just for the hell of it. Like they could totally mask it. I'm not crazy about it still. Like if it's getting we're gonna move the race back 10 minutes, and it's like, well, Kyle Larson's stuck in traffic. He's now running on the side of the freeway to get to the track in time. Okay, it's like, let's move along. But All-Star race, I don't see why everyone was so upset. Looking at the poll, because I decided to put a poll up for the chat. If he's a little late, I had that stipulation, because if it's like entirely late, like he, it's about to start the race and he just landed at the airport and has to drive through traffic, then no. Like, sorry. As much as I want to see the story happen, you can't do it.
So I see my wife Claudia's in the chat. She actually brought up a good question here. Could they ever do a driver switch mid-race, another driver start, and he hop in late? So basically that's like, it's like the Denny Hamlin, Eric Almirola situation from years back. The only thing is, if Larson qualifies and practices and all that, then if another driver starts it, they got to go to the back because they didn't do all that. So
They
then
also
they go
get
to the
points.
back, and then they get Larson into the car. Well, they're already still in the back. Then at that point, it'd be probably better if they had someone else other than Larson practice and qualify it, and then they start it. And then Larson hops in at some point. That would be the better, honestly.
It's just the big problem for Larson is someone else starts the race. Larson doesn't get any points, and while he's leading, I mean, this is what whether people like it or not, the Coke 600 points wise in the regular season means more than any other race because of that added
That's true.
stage.
That's a good point.
And I don't see them missing that. I mean, it's a 2-year deal. Also, I know we're going to talk about a lot of this in the second half, but I think knowing that they have another year to try the double next season will probably influence the decision. If this is next year and there is no next year, like for 2026, I could see this being a tougher decision. But
yeah, right now Charlotte's the priority, so we'll get to that. Yeah. We'll get to that in the second half. But
62%, by the way, in the poll compared to 38 no. 62% said yes, they should move the start if Larson is a little late, not a lot.
30 minutes max, 15 to 30 minutes fair game. Anything more than that, then I have maybe a slight issue for sure.
Now, people who had issues, kind of move into the big story of the weekend, were the Stenhouses and Kyle Busch. There was a fight, and in the words of Kevin Harvick, I like fights. There should be more fights.
They had a tussle.
Got a little dirty, as Harvick would say.
A little dirty. Yeah, a little dirty. A little dirty. But with it, I mean, let's start off with what happened on the track here. So Kyle Busch washes up the track, lap 1. Ricky Stenhouse pulls a Kyle Busch move, if I had to say so, by going up the middle 3 wide. We've seen Kyle Busch do it before. I mean, look at any truck race. He starts lower than 4th. He's going 3 wide on the first lap. So Kyle Busch gets up into the wall, thinks, from what it sounds like, Stenhouse gets into him and absolutely junks him going into the first corner, I believe, on the second lap. Takes out the 47. Not so icy, very hot under the hood, vows to go after him. And see, I told you guys I'd get some kind of thing in there about that. Told the chat. Yeah, very smooth. And basically just, I guess, basically just vows to go after him. So I'm going to pose this question to you guys, and whoever wants to jump into it first, go with it, because I want to talk about on the track first. Was Kyle Busch justified in any way of what he did with Stenhouse? Is there a justification?
Heck no.
Go for it, Danny. I'd see your strong opinion on it.
Heck no. Anyone should have took that move that Stenhouse did. That was such a huge opening they gave him right there. And then Kyle just washes it up into the wall like being a shrub, essentially, and blame it all on Stenhouse. Like, I like Kyle Busch. He's grown on me, but come on, dude. You overreacted to a – I want to say – I kept saying you overreacted a racing deal. Honestly, you just overreacted to you messing up because he didn't come close to hitting him. He really didn't.
I would say Stenhouse definitely squeezed him on exit. I don't think it was as bad as Busch thought it was in the moment. Busch does hit the wall first and then bounce off into Stenhouse. That part is true.
Checked up.
Yeah, but that's the thing is Stenhouse at that point had the position. If anything, Kyle Busch, maybe should have lifted a little bit there. It is lap 1. I understand he's frustrated with Stenhouse's aggression, but it's an all-star race, hard to pass. The car is hard to pass with. The track is hard to pass on. You left the opening. You got to live with the consequences. So, yes, that did not justify Kyle Busch just blatantly spinning Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He didn't right rear Ricky Stenhouse into the outside wall. In fairness, Stenhouse overcorrected and nosed it into the wall. Busch was just trying to hit him in the left rear, spin him out lazily, I imagine. Maybe back him into the fence. These cars are resilient. He would have been just fine. But it looked a lot worse than I think Kyle Busch wanted it to be. I'll give Kyle Busch that defense, I suppose, but still, slightly getting squeezed into the wall does not justify punting the guy and completely spinning him out. That's not a justifiable reaction.
Rattle his cage, what you're saying.
Well, that's what. So, side note, Kyle Busch said that as much on with Charlie Marlowe today on YouTube. I don't know if y'all saw that. He used that exact line. Busch said, "I just, I didn't mean to wreck," or no, he didn't even say that. He said, "I just wanted to rattle his cage and spin him out." He said that. So he should be getting a points penalty this week. He just went on a podcast and admitted he intentionally spun out Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He should be getting, what did Hamlin get last year? 25 points? Mm-hmm. Kyle Busch should be handed a 25-point penalty because he just went on a podcast and admitted.
What did Chase Elliott get for right rear hooking someone?
Well, but
I know it's a short track. I know.
Well, no, I'm comparing this to the Hamlin Chastain Phoenix deal because it's also a short track, and he didn't right rear hook somebody. He just rubbed somebody into the wall. Kyle Busch didn't right rear hook Stenhouse. He left reared him, spun him out. Like I said, it was just trying to lazily spin him, maybe back him into the fence. It looked worse than it was. So I'm comparing it to Hamlin Chastain. Hamlin got a 25-point penalty for admitting it on a podcast. Kyle Busch should get a 25-point penalty.
This is also interesting because should we be doing points penalties for this race because it is a non-points race? Should we just be finding money?
That's a good point. Oh, shit. That is a good point. Okay.
Because I'm on that side.
I think he should have been fined $5,000 for what he did.
$5,000? Wait, how much?
$5,000. I think that's what Kyle should have got.
Shoot, man, he had to pay more to get out of jail in Mexico.
Yeah, okay. But what he did deserves something, at least, not nothing. I think he didn't need $75,000, but what he did sparked this whole situation in the first place. He shouldn't have just been let off scot-free, no issue at all.
Well, and Stenhouse is the victim in this whole thing. He's the one with the wrecked race car. He's the one who's trapped inside the track because it's a giant fishbowl.
He's the marketing ploy now.
Yeah, and on top of that, he's the one now who has to walk on eggshells for self-policing, if we want to say it in driver's terms. Kyle Busch self-policed on the track. The Stenhouse family self-policed off the track. And I guess we should just get on into the penalties. Kyle Busch got none in this. Stenhouse, we said, fined $75K. The crew members, one was suspended 4 weeks, the other 8. I believe the one that was suspended 8, I don't know if it was Kyle Busch's crew member, but I remember one of the crew members was basically just like chucking people into the crowd like freaking Sauron.
No, that guy did not get a penalty.
Are you shitting me?
No, he got no penalty. It was a guy who had Kyle Busch in sort of like a semi-headlock, it looked like, from the replay. That guy, I believe, got 8 weeks.
And the guy who was chucking people, he didn't deserve a penalty at all, in my opinion, because all he did was he was assisting Green Shirt Man from NASCAR in getting Ricky off of Kyle.
I got a bone to pick on this.
And so at that point, Ricky is saying, "Get my dad, get my dad." Kyle Busch, crewman, he understands. I was paying attention to him. He understands. Okay, get Ricky off, get Green Shirt Man off, and then he just sees a bunch of Kroger shirts on his truck. All he's trying to do is get him away from his equipment. That's all this man is doing. He's not trying to start nothing. He just says, "Get off my truck."
Well,
get off my truck.
So I got a bone to pick on all that part, but I want to finish off with the last penalty. Stenhouse Sr. has been suspended indefinitely from NASCAR, which that's consistent.
They'll let him back in eventually, but they need him to take some time.
It's a Tom Logano kind of penalty. And I'll say this: NASCAR was consistent with it, I guess is the right word. I'm going to say this. I like the crew guys getting penalized. In fact, I think all of them should get penalized and suspended. You know why? Because they should stay the hell out of the fight. I'm so damn sick of this giant, rugby scrum every time drivers go at it with each other. I'm sick of Green Shirt Man breaking up every damn fight before the second punch. I get it, man. You're a badass, and I respect that. I would never want to go one-on-one against you. But, come on. I mean,
And to that note, Jarrett, you're right. They should stay out a little bit because when you get more bodies start going at it like that, look, we had media members around it. Davey Segal gets pushed down by Kyle Busch, but I think he only got shut down because other crew members were getting in there on Kyle. So we have media members who were just trying to document what's happening, getting in danger now because we got so many bodies going at it.
The Bob meme is hilarious, though. Poor Bob.
That
was the first replay I saw on Twitter. I'm like, it's a fight. It's really shaky. Bob.
Okay, I'm jealous we didn't have one of us there just to have more of an in-person encounter and all that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was there for that one with Gregson and Chastain last year, and it's crazy. If you're not 100% keyed in, because I was about to key in on Larson because he was getting interviewed, I believe, when that started up or was about to. And I just saw it right near me. You don't know what's going on. You got to key in quick and know where the hell you are. So it's a lot of these guys getting pushed down. I I understand why. The faces are hilarious. Nobody got hurt, luckily. I am still on the train of let these guys go at it until like a punch or two is thrown or somebody hits the ground or something. Get them away from each other then. But like if we're gonna use this, promote this, and we've seen the Chastain-Gregson fight, and we've seen the 79 500, and we've seen countless other fights promoted. Hell, when Kevin Harvick got brought on the Fox booth, they showed all the different fights he was in. Like, if we're going to promote this, at least let him have at it. Let him actually fight like men.
And what the heck happened to boys have at it anyways?
Yeah, I think that kind of got phased out like through the 2010s. I think they're like, yeah, we might have overstepped a few lines when Edwards, now Hall of Famer, sent Brad Keselowski waving into the crowd.
Yeah. What do you remember most for your Hall of Fame career? Well, me and Brad did some stuff back in the day.
You ain't gonna kill my boy. I'll never forget that quote.
So my take is I think the Stenhouse penalty, like you said, was consistent with previous penalties. It's steep. $75,000 fine for a glancing blow doesn't seem fair, but it was premeditated. NASCAR made it obvious last year that if you wait on somebody hours after the race and then jump them, well, Matt Crafton allegedly jumped Nick Sanchez. We don't have video of how that one got started. But if you ambush, if it's premeditated and you throw a punch when Kyle Busch actually was trying to de-escalate the situation, it makes it look bad, and that's, you can't do that. NASCAR's made that clear. So I was a little surprised folks like Daniel Suarez were like, what? They're not letting us show our emotions? It's like, boy, did you see Ross Chastain get no penalty? Austin Hill sent Myatt Snider into next year and got no penalty. If it's heat of the moment, you both just got out of the car, you're jawing on pit road, stuff happens. NASCAR's made clear, do that all you want. No penalty, we'll promote it. But if you wait on a guy and have your crew members there putting him in a headlock, yeah, that's premeditated. That's a penalty. So I thought the penalty was consistent. It seems like a steep penalty, but you have to remember this is the Cup Series. So, while a Truck Series driver will get a $25,000 fine, that's $75,000 in Cup Series money is the way NASCAR looks at it. So I didn't have an issue with that penalty. But yeah, if we want to talk about Kyle Busch, it opens up a can of worms. He admitted to intentionally spinning someone on a podcast. Should something be done there? But I will be clear, he did not right rear. I got this comment a lot in my video today. He did not right rear Ricky Stenhouse, so no suspension like Bubba, no suspension like Elliott. It was he spun a guy out who then overcorrected and nosed it into the wall.
I made sure all this week when I was talking about it on Twitter to just I never said the right. Well, if we're talking about right hooks, it's from Ricky's arm, but there was no right hooking, there was no right rearing anybody here. I mean, he did. He wrecked him. That's all that happened.
Yeah. But when y'all said it, I do agree with the point that Stenhouse is really the loser in all this because, he gets the penalty. He's now not able to retaliate on track because NASCAR is going to pull him aside and say, hey, don't touch the 8 car or worse is coming. Like, this needs to be over. So Stenhouse has a wrecked race car and he's $75,000 poorer. And what did he get? A glancing blow on Kyle Busch. No. That's kind of disappointing for him.
I want to ask really quick because I've used this as a blanket umbrella rule before. Did they use actions detrimental to stock car racing on this one, or they use a different rule?
They have a different category. It's just like a generic behavioral, it was labeled something else, but yeah, no, it wasn't that. It was something else.
Purposely as gray as possible to make a ball and strike call.
Probably
because I just remember a couple fights like 2000s and 2010s where it's like actions detrimental to stock car racing. It's like it's so detrimental we're going to put it on every Fox commercial for the Daytona 500 even though it's not at this track. But okay,
they can't even use that term anymore. Denny Hamlin and Dirty Mo already copyrighted it.
I'm glad it's been turned into a meme because I hated that rule so much in the 2000s, and I wasn't even watching in 04, so people can't say it's because Junior got penalized. That's not why I dislike the rule. It's just so purposefully vague, like so many of these behavioral rules are. It irks me, man. But yeah, I think this is going to be the big talking point of probably the first half of the season. At least I would think. I don't know. There's been so many damn things that have been amazing that have happened this year. Don't get me wrong. As much as we might have issues nitpicking here and there, I think I can say for all of us, we enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, it's
The-
the
This,
NASCAR's on such a roll that even kind of bland races have highlights when it's all said and done, and are getting on Pat McAfee's show and things like that.
yeah,
Like that's the role we're on.
this NASCAR is just it's such a weird company. Like I'm talking about more of a company at this point, but it's such a weird company in the fact that they're going to promote this fight all over things for years to come.
Which they should.
They had promoted in the past Ryan Newman's Daytona 500 wreck. They had promoted with Ryan Preece's wreck from last year. They'll take these jaw-dropping moments and they'll promote them like crazy. Yet when in these fights, and they say, no, 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 that was wrong. Put it in a commercial. Go ahead. You're not going to see the NFL go use Antonio Brown running off the field like this in commercials
Which
for the
they
next few
should.
seasons.
They should, though. I'd love to see that.
I think it does go back to what you all said about the 79 Daytona 500. That is the race that put NASCAR on the map, if you will. And it was, bookended by a massive fight breaking out on the last lap of the Great American Race. So I think NASCAR is different from other sports in that respect. I also think NASCAR isn't like football, where you're not going to get a highlight reel every week of 60-yard bombs and diving catches and huge sacks. Oh, what a 3-wide move. That doesn't get shared around. So yeah, so the highlights are when something unusual or shocking or, like y'all said, jaw-dropping happens, and in this case, it's a fight. And so they're going to promote it because they can trace it back to 1979 and say, that's who we are. That's our roots. So that's where I think it comes from. I think NASCAR, has to maintain some sense of control. You can't have, a team ambushing a driver after the race, another driver jumping someone after the race. You can't have that. You do have to draw the line somewhere. Do I like that they continue to use Matt Kenseth wrecking Joey Logano in promotions? No, I think it is an egregious double standard, but they've been doing this for a long, long time. So I guess my long-winded take is I'm numb to it. Let them do what they want to do.
I'm fine using it. I just wish they'd own it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the way.
I've seen a few people mention this too, that Ricky did go on Stacking Pennies of Corey LaJoie this week, and he said on there that he's not going to retaliate because it's not worth it. Well, here's the thing to remember about Stacking Pennies. It's good show. Corey LaJoie and his team do a good job with that, but it is a NASCAR-owned and produced program. Ricky's not going to go on there and say anything bad right now. You got to remember that.
He's also afraid of Richard Childress.
Yeah, Pop's going to kick his ass.
Yeah, he threatened to fight dirty if Ricky wrecks his car. So
hey, I'll tell you what, he's one of the few 78-year-old men who I'd be like, I think I'm not going to take him on.
I didn't realize this. I read somewhere today. We all know about when the Hold My Watch, Richard Childress, when he punched Kyle Busch way back in the day. I've read today. I didn't remember. He got fined apparently $150,000 for that.
Yeah,
that was in whatever year that was. That was in that money. 2011 money. He got hit with twice the penalty Stenhouse got. So. I'm trying to so in what other words, it's cheaper to punch Kyle Busch today than it was during his prime. Let's just say
it's one of the only thing that's deflated since then. All right. Well,
can we take 1 second to talk about one more thing?
Okay, we gotta be quick. I want to talk about the ratings because they're good.
Okay, I'll shut up.
No, go ahead. I just don't want to talk about the ratings. They're good this week.
I thought you said don't. You want to talk about the ratings?
No, I said go ahead. I want to go talk, Danny. Talk.
Okay. No, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that Kyle Busch literally said, "I suck too," when yelling back at Ricky Stenhouse.
I suck just like you do. I love the arm movement too. I understand you. We both suck.
We speak the same language now.
I'm only parked one hauler down from you.
That was the damning part of it. Shoot, right. Man.
Well, okay. Talk about your ratings.
Yeah, they're good. They're good this week. So to talk about the ratings, we had a 17% increase over last year with 2.573 million viewers, 4% over 2022, and 21% of the total audience, so 541,000, was in the key demo, which all for NASCAR races, very good. Also, this is the second highest viewed all-star race since 2017. Again, very good. And Indianapolis and Nashville were also in the top 5 markets, which Nashville is usually close in the top 10 or around there.
It's me and Jared. We have a million TVs on.
Yeah, we do. I got one back there. I got one right here, over there. And so a lot of crossover here. Now, I want to talk to somebody else really quick about the second half of the ratings, because it's about the IndyCar side of it. So we're going to welcome our special guest right now, David Land.
Oh, he's here.
That's good timing right
What's
there.
up,
How
man?
about that? Oh,
You're
he's
muted.
You are muted, sir.
Almost good enough.
Smooth.
I am the master of good timing, but I'm not the master of unmuting myself. How we doing tonight, boys?
Pretty good.
Howdy.
We're
Doing good.
He is
actually
rocking that Pacers hat with pride this week.
You know what? Look, I am not a bandwagoner. I might make bandwagoner guides, but I'm not a bandwagoner. All right. It was an ugly loss, but we're standing on business and understanding value with the Pacers. I still think they win it in 7.
Well,
Understanding value. I've never heard that. That's how I'm going to talk about my teams from now on.
It's a good way to do it.
If that's what we're going to call it, then I've been understanding a lot of value being a Vikings fan the last 25 years.
I'm right there with you as a Colts fan, unfortunately. That's been tough since Peyton Manning.
You got a Super Bowl.
That's true. That is true. But, is it really a Super Bowl when you beat the Bears?
My family is all Bears fans, so I'm going to just plead the fifth on that one.
Hey, Bears.
I'm just a Titans fan. We were 1 yard short. I would take anything at this point.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Danny, that was tough. But you're a divisional rival, so I have no sympathy. Zero sympathy.
Actually, what's funny is I'm the only out of Division 1 in here.
Because I'm Texan, so we are all AFC South.
That's
on
true.
The board, pretty much.
You know what? We can all understand why no one likes Jacksonville, right?
Yeah,
there's no one in here.
We can understand that value.
We really need to set that up. We need to just get the entire AFC South in here, and then the lone Vikings fan being like, Waterbug, not taking sides. But let's take some sides on this one. We were talking, David, about the ratings. All-Star race up 17% year over year. Indy 500 qualifying up 35% year over year with
Thank you, Kyle.
1.14 million viewers. Also, the trucks on Saturday on FS1 also had over 600,000 viewers, so really good on their part too.
Yeah, that's good for them.
So I guess we kind of have finished up with the All-Star race part of it, but I think ratings-wise, we can talk a bit about the Kyle Larson bump on this one, because I think that when you see both of those go up as majorly as they did, that's what it was. So, David, you're fresh on in here. We've given a lot of our takes. I want to know your take on this.
Well, it's not surprising, right? Like, everybody knew that Kyle Larson, I've seen it in my numbers. My God, that Kyle Larson interview we got on Tuesday got 100,000 views. Like, people are interested in this, right? But I will say this as well. I think that this month, when I say month, it's been a week, right? But like, I'm still living in 1995. But this week of practice for the Indy 500 has been so like headline generating. You have these insane crashes that everybody's seeing. You see Kyle Larson setting really, really fast times. The speeds are high. Everything is kind of set up the way. And then you have, for a lot of people, the villain going into the month is Team Penske. They're doing really well. People are tuning in to see if they can be knocked off their pedestal. They weren't, but hey, that's what the race is going to be for. And of course, Kyle Larson has that too. But, people might tune in for Kyle Larson and tune out immediately if they're bored by it. Thank God everybody who tuned in for qualifying was entertained by what they saw. And it's crazy too, because it's single car qualifying, right? Should be the most boring thing in the world. And it's like the most compelling thing ever when it's the Indy 500. It's such a weird contrast.
Yeah.
Well,
they do it so well. I was going to say, kind of random personal anecdote. My grandfather used to, he got to a point when he was older where he had like 10 stories he would just repeat every time you saw him. But one of the stories, he was not a race fan, not even really a big sports fan, but he went to the Indy 500 qualifying, I think in the 80s, I want to say, and he would still talk about that with me. Every time I saw him, that's how much that stood out to him, was the speed of the cars, the spectacle, the intensity of who's going to make it, who's not. Cars are on the hairy edge. It's dangerous. So that always stood out to me as well. As someone who's not been to an Indy 500, living vicariously through that story over and over and over again, it's like, I get it. When I watch it on TV, I get it's different than qualifying in other motorsports.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I just want to hit that point real quick. to anyone at IndyCar or any IndyCar partners, we have got to find a way to get Eric to the Indy 500 next year. I want to throw that challenge out.
I just need to go. I just need to stop being lazy.
Oh no, we're going to get you there. We need to get you there
and Danny if it gets rained out till Monday. Me, Danny, and John might get there Monday.
It's a shorter drive for y'all.
We're only 4 hours away.
That would be really cool. I think it will. Unfortunately, I think Noon. I said this on Eric's show today. Noon's not going to save us here. I think it is going to run on Monday or possibly even Tuesday or possibly worst case scenario Wednesday.
Can't make
that
it
hasn't
Wednesday.
happened. Oh well, yeah. I mean, I hope it's not Wednesday, but it's definitely the weatherman's the enemy right now. It's going to be tough.
If it is moved to Monday and it is reasonable for me to make it, I might would try to up and decide to go with Jarrett. But if not, I will be going. By the way, I will be going to Indy next month to see Caitlin Clark.
Hey, all right. Our new hero, our new Peyton Manning here in Indianapolis.
Indeed. It is exciting times there in Indiana.
We have people in the background now.
It's super exciting. I don't know. Background, what are you talking about? There's someone here?
Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't realize that was an opening.
Put your head down. You got to there.
We got Emerson Fittipaldi.
We got Emerson Fittipaldi. Look at that value.
Whoa. Wow.
That value. The valuenator's going on
value
right now.
is the word of the night.
Does Chase sell those hats he's wearing?
Hey,
do you sell those hats?
Yeah, I can.
He can. But
you have to.
What you asking?
You have to stand on business and stand on Alistair Jr. What do we got here?
Don't forget Mario Andretti on a scooter.
Mario on a scooter.
It's Indy 500 week.
He's got a koala on the
I have his picture right
Look
here.
at this. Look at this insane value.
That's incredible.
You got koala. Premium sleeve that. What are you doing?
David Land's Mojo Dojo Casa House has become the content hub over here.
That's the
Cloud House, man.
We used to joke about the racing Cloud House. He's got it going on there tonight.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, it's funny that Chase wanted to come up a little bit early for the 500. He's, of course, I guess we should introduce Chase in case you don't know who he is. He's a co-host on the Speed Street podcast with Connor Daly, and he's got a hotel for tomorrow night through the race. But he was like, I want to come up early and start making content. I'm like, I got a couch, so that's how that happened. So Chase is a good guy, so it's fun to have him over here.
Been on both ends of that. Well, David, we're going to roll on into the ending of our Cup talk, a little truck talk before we get into the second half of the show. So really quick, let's roll into the poll. I asked everyone, what did you think of the 2024 All-Star race? 15,000 of y'all voted. 11% said great. They thought it was a great race. 37% said good, so 48% in the positive on that one. 30 said average. 14 said below average, and 8% said straight up bad, so 22% had a negative opinion of this race. As for the first comment, shocker, it's Isaac. Is it positive, negative, meme, or a mix of some of those?
He's probably negative. I mean, Logano led almost every lap. That doesn't usually bring out the happy comments.
You usually get these polls out before they would have had time for a fight, so yeah, it's a negative one.
David, what do you think?
Do I get to guess? It's negative.
Oh, yeah, go
for sure. It's always negative on the internet. What is this? This isn't positivity club. This is the internet. It's going to be negative.
Sometimes our top comments shock us. You'd be surprised. But what was it, Jared? What did they say?
So Isaac said, really, NASCAR? This was your attempt to improve short track racing? It looks exactly the same as every other short track race I've seen this year. Once again, it can't be a difficult ask to, at the bare minimum, go to 750 horsepower in a fucking race car.
Whoa.
Swear jar.
Whoa. I'm not even kidding, David. For the last month straight, they have been positive. The one night that you jump in here, there we go. We got an
Are you
F-bomb.
blaming me for that?
It's like they knew.
I'm just pointing out the unfortunate timing.
I was waiting for there to be like an edit, and there, but edit. Holy crap, a fight!
No, there wasn't. There was like a little more saying it's the easiest solution in the damn world. WTF is your problem, NASCAR. Very opinionated.
I like it.
Oh, come on. We're all somewhat grown-ups in here. We're might not be grown-ups up here, but we're grown-ups. We can swear a little bit. But that was the poll on that side of it. Let's look at some of the comments. We can actually look at the top of the comments. There's probably some positive ones in here. Maybe not. The first comment, and it's like a wide margin from Box Scott, says this race peaked on lap 2.
That is true. That's just a factual statement. I'd almost view that as a positive statement.
Flying Pizza says, I love how Goodyear tries to make a tire that wears a lot, but they end up creating the most durable tire they've ever made.
It is insane. It's remarkable.
Let's see. Let's go a little further down because I don't want to.
Going crazy at this tire.
Hamlin Fanatic says, Stenhouse's lawyer, Your Honor, my client was simply standing on business.
Understanding value.
Jacob here says he accidentally fell asleep. Actually, I had a moment like that. So you know how I do the post-race shows for Truck, Xfinity, and Cup, and I forgot which one. I think it was a truck race recently, and it was like really boring. And like I had been up, I think like 36 hours because I had to like go like to a different state and back, and then do something else here or whatever. And I fell asleep for like 30 laps, and I realized I'd paused it. And so I had to watch the race at double speed to get caught up before the end so I could actually like talk about what I saw. And I didn't miss anything. And trust me, it's the only time I've ever done it. I probably should not be admitting
Your
this on the
secret's
internet.
safe with us.
Yeah, and
Jared, there is no shame. If every NASCAR fan should admit that they sleep during races. I do.
It was the first time I ever have without being sick. Like the only other time I ever fell asleep during a race was actually halfway through a Richmond race in 06 that Junior won because I had like 103 temperature.
Dover 2021, a race Alex Bowman won. I slept for almost the entire first half of that and woke up and he's going to win.
I actually have a funny story about a Dover race. 2 years before, when he finished second and he was going for his first win, I had a college exam and I had snuck in earphones into the exam and had my hood up and listened to the race on MRN as it was going.
For a Dover race? You risked all that for a Dover race?
I didn't really care about college.
Damn.
Based.
I don't think I've ever fallen asleep during a race. I'm just so intense.
back to the comments.
I don't sleep. I don't really nap. I can't sleep on planes. I can't sleep in a car.
Confirmed.
Does it count to fall asleep like during a 24-hour race? Because I've totally done that.
Well, I don't think that counts.
24-hour race, you're supposed to fall asleep with TV on and wake up middle of the night, watch the race, and then go back to sleep and wake up in the morning and watch more.
You just need to.
Yeah, it's always like.
You just need a 3-minute alarm clock with Garage 56. That's all you need.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Garage 56.
Yeah, Garage
Oh,
56.
I like that. That's a cool, like, was that like a postcard or where
A
did
sticker.
Because you were there. You saw Garage 56.
I saw the Garage 56 car race.
You heard it.
Heard it.
That's.
Oh, I was at Le Mans. Actually, I didn't get that from Le Mans. I have a friend who's a friend with the IMSA president, John Doonan, and he gave him one, and then he gave it to me. So it was really cool. So
that's amazing that Garage 56 has blessed your presence.
I know. I can't wait till the diecast comes out of that thing. I'm going to buy the heck out of that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one really quick thing about Garage 56. I think that's the best thing NASCAR has done in years because you go to a foreign country, and I'm telling you, because I was there, every time that car went by, there was one of two reactions. It was either, or it was like, and it was everybody. And Le Mans is such a melting pot of so many different cultures and so many different people coming out to that race. For NASCAR to be exposed on that global of a scale, like this is what we're about, this is what we do. How awesome was that? So it was awesome, amazing.
I was at a wedding that weekend, and I've been to places like this, meeting new people, and I'm the NASCAR guy, and people might ask me about Daytona or whatever. But I had like 4 different people come up to me and ask me, "Are you watching Garage 56? Like, are you watching this?" And I was like, "Yeah, what? Let's talk." You know, your point stands. I think even here stateside. So sorry, Jared.
It's all good. I keep hitting my
interrupting
mic.
the gutter.
No, well, we're not even at the gutter comments yet.
Oh,
That's
boy.
the best part. A few more here really quick before we go to the gutter. Ian the Motorsports Man says better than 2023. Personally, I had fun watching this race.
I agree.
Mr. Mann says we need Rockingham back. I agree. Braden says a fight for the ages. Let's get down to the gutter comments. We had 456. Just keep with the 56 theme here. 456 commenters. So let's get down to David. We now do a thing where we have our bottom 3 comments and we have our gutter comments.
They're not bots, are they?
No, we make sure because some people
Okay.
actually game the system. They purposely put stuff like about Chase Elliott just to get voted down. So I haven't actually vetted these yet. So like I sort of on the show as I'm talking to you, I'm like looking and I'm like, all right, well, actually I can't do that one. So we're just gonna remove. I'm realizing there's some I can't do. So let's see. I can do the worst one, which is not that bad. I can do the one there. I can't do the other one. If I want to get kicked off YouTube, I could do it, but I don't want to. Okay, I think I can do this. All right. So the third lowest is from Akshay Talks, who says, horrible race, no tire wear. Hope you old-fashioned folk realize old tracks suck. Send the all-star race to a modern new track like Phoenix for better racing.
Whoa, Phoenix.
What? No wonder that's at the bottom.
Any track in the world, and you chose that one, and not the Charlotte Oval that we went to for years.
I'm glad that it got thumbed down so much it got put in the gutter. Sorry, Akshay Racing. I'm sorry, I forget what the name was. Yeah.
Imagine
Just
how
cooking.
good modern day Charlotte could be with this car for the All-Star race.
Yeah.
Think
It used to be believable. That's what Bynot says in the chat.
Well, Danny Powers here says, what happened to inverting the field? Take it back to Charlotte and do the race justice. That was a second Lotus comment.
Well, that one seems a little more rational, so I'm
That doesn't
surprised
even
people
sound
hate
bad. I
it.
don't know why they're mad.
Yeah.
And the lowest one was from Fear Butteray, who says, pretty mediocre. Stenhouse punching Kyle was the only highlight. I don't see.
Why did people thumb that down?
I can't disagree with them.
Maybe that's when the Kyle Busch fans jumped in. They were mad. They were mad Sunday night.
I called Kyle Busch
I
cooked
never
on
really
my
saw.
show.
Oh, I started purposely doing that, and it just pissed him off more. And then at the end, I saw a few of them be like, "So I watched it, and yeah, Stenhouse didn't get into him."
I never really saw anything from Twitter's favorite Kyle Busch fan, Dalton Good. I never saw anything from him
I
this
think
weekend.
he works for.
He does work for
Childress now.
RCR now, so he's got to watch what he says.
Yeah, well, that was the Cup
Or he'll get
race.
suspended.
No, I don't know. The team owner might be on his side on this one.
I'm just laughing. What if Ricky Stenhouse Sr. is involved in the altercation, and then here comes Dalton Good.
I want to see it, man. I want to see it.
Hey, he's in position. It could happen.
He unprise Kyle Busch away from Green Shirt Man.
That would be hilarious. Honestly, he should get a medal if that happens. I love that.
I'd be all for him, man. Funny dude in person, funny dude. But really quick, there was one other race at Wilkesboro that took 23 hours. That was the truck race. We can kind of skim through this one, but there's a few big things to talk about here. First off is that it was a lake. So it wasn't Martinsville, but Kyle Petty got his wish come true of turning a track into a bass fishing pond.
Yeah, that was insane. That was 3-4 feet of water.
I was ready to hook the boat up and I'll come race.
Well, you guys saw the crew guy who just kept diving face first into it, right? Like there weren't porta potties on that infield.
Yeah,
I mean, think about that for a second.
It's just
there is at that point in that water, there is fuel, there is oil, there is all kinds of nastiness on the ground.
That is like the dirtiness level of like a mid-2000s Cleveland Browns locker room. I mean, it's just gross. I don't want to know what's in that water or what has been made from that water going through there, but it was pretty damn cool to see, I'll admit. As much
it was
as
all gone the next day, so I guess they must have a good drainage system there.
Yeah, they said the drainage got blocked, and that's why it filled up like a fishbowl. But yeah, I don't know. It's also an old track. It might,
I wish there was one of those people that films those satisfying videos of unclogging like a manhole to watch it go down.
Now
Corey Heim got the win.
Yeah, Heim time is back in progress. I mean, I can't say I'm too surprised. The one who really stole the show was Butterbean. I mean, I didn't realize he was basically going to be the most popular driver outside of Kyle Larson that whole weekend. Like,
hey, those short track fans, they are loyal.
I love it, man.
Exactly.
There needs to be more olive branches to that side of the sport.
And he scored a top 5, right, in his Truck Series debut. That's huge. That's impressive.
I mean, he was at one point he was the fastest guy on track, and he was
hauling mail. Which truck was he in again?
Was he Tricon?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe it was the one. right?
Yeah. I was trying to look up how old he is. He's 26. Wasn't he fastest in practice at one point?
Mhm.
Yeah. Like, so he had a
Yeah.
tremendous weekend.
He even got the attention of Brad Keselowski there while he was up on the stage in the media center.
Yeah, he's like, Brad, what are you looking at? Is he's like sitting looking off screen? He's like, yeah, he kicked our ass last year. I want to see what he's doing. But I gotta say,
cool.
this one I don't get as much press as I wish it would have. But Connor Jones, the 18-year-old driver in the 66 truck, did anyone? I want to first ask, did anyone ever find out why the hell he was called to the NASCAR hauler, other than just like kind of parking across the track to get back moving? Like, there was no reason given on the broadcast, which I'm not shocked. It's Fox Sports 1, but like,
I didn't even know he got called to the hauler.
He got called to the hauler.
Was it for something like
they never said? They never said. Bob didn't even know. Like, no one ever said anything, and that booth wasn't going to say anything. They were just going to talk about Daniel Dye and that one country singer. So the funniest part is he lost power steering, and he brought it into the pits. He goes, guys, we got to be done. I don't have power steering. And his crew guy just goes, or you could be a man and drive it. Damn.
I mean, for real, I know drivers, who have driven lesser equipment that have finished races without power steering. Ryan Vargas has told us that he's had to finish races without power steering. It's no fun, but it can be done.
Driving without power steering sucks. I had to do it in the middle of winter up in Illinois a couple of years back, and it's awful. Like, you have Popeye arms after you're done. Like, it is just, I had to drive from, I went to school at NIU, which was about 50 miles or so, maybe a little less away from where my grandparents lived. And I called my grandpa as I'm driving there, like, hey, I need to bring the car up. It's just not turning anymore. I think the power steering's out. And I had to drive all the way up on icy back roads. And by the time I get up there, I'm just, can we take 10 minutes before we look at it? It's awful. It sucks. But you're also a professional race car driver. So that's my take on it. But wow, we actually managed to get through an entire race weekend in an hour. Nice.
Means the show is going to be like an hour and a half before we're done.
Yeah. So we should probably get into the first Super Chat stage break. Anyone want to keep time for me? Just let me know when I can start this up.
Rock and roll. I got you.
All right. And by the way, we are less than 200 away from the 500 like goal. So lick that like button while we're at it. There's over 600 of y'all watching. So I know.
Be a man and leave a like on it so that you can see David Land try to guess a NASCAR driver.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I got a good one this week. So,
I might actually get it. I'm better at the old stuff than I am at the new stuff.
We'll see. Oh, damn. You might want to restart that really quick.
Restart that,
just
Eric.
go.
Okay, I'm going. Okay, Bailey Reichert for the first two here, 5 and a 2, says let's see. What was where it all went wrong for SHR? NASCAR choosing Bristol Dirt over Eldora, or Ford rejecting Kyle Larson? Two moments that did damage, I think. Well, the Stewart side for sure both did damage. I'm gonna probably say the Ford rejecting Larson Stewart wise is probably the point of no return. Like, I think the exit strategy started there.
It makes the most dramatic sense. So I'll run with that.
Yeah, Hollywood would like that. Netflix would like that. The $2 one here says Busch causes the wreck on purpose and gets nothing. Come on.
Yeah, because he didn't admit it until he did on that podcast this week.
I'm on that train.
Isaac the Jedi for 5. With the "I suck as much as you" quote, is Kyle Busch entering the Lightning McQueen Cars 3 McQueen is fading fast phase of his career?
You can see a noticeable decline in his stats the moment NASCAR took away full practice and qualifying. COVID year since, his numbers have gone down.
But then he said
wins
practice
less
doesn't make a difference.
His average finish was like 11th, 8th, 9th, 11th, and then since then it's like 14th, 15th, 14th, 16th. Moment they took away practice. So I don't know.
Hunter Nixon Fishing for the 10. This Sunday is like Christmas Day for a racing fan. I can't wait. Go Larson. We'll talk about more with the double this weekend, as well as the rest of the weekend as well, and what might extend into the week. Hopefully not. Fred Dog 81 for the 5. Remember when people were trying to make KB a likable underdog at Daytona who isn't hot-tempered or wrecks anyone else? Pepper Ridge Farm remembers.
Yeah.
NASCARson for the 5. NWP North Wilkesboro. Trucks, good race, but runaway finish. Cup, replay of Jeff Burton 2000 New Hampshire. Awful race, but an entertaining post-race fight.
Interesting comparison.
I like the comparisons. Triple P Productions for the 5. On my way to Charlotte for the Coke 600. Also going to go to ARCA Day and a members race at the Hall of Fame this weekend. We'll have fun.
Yeah, cool. Enjoy it.
How close am I?
You got a minute, let's say.
All right, let's just do that, yeah. At Martin Fan for Life, thank you for the 14-month member chat. Saying, I'm a Ford fan, but hoping Larson gets a top 5 in both races. Yeah, I think he's the one we're all just getting behind. I'll read 3 more here because there's, I think, 3 more that I can get and then save the rest for the second half. Palm Tree for the 5. Can't wait to watch drivers do coke and run 600 miles this weekend. Oh, wait.
Oh, is that how it works?
I guess so. Fred Dog for the 2. Did KB deserve a fine too for deliberately crashing? Well, he admitted it, so we'll see.
Yes.
And the last one.
They're probably not going to do anything, but it's
No.
the precedent is there.
So this last one I saw, we were talking about the character and the track. This was from Too Tough, Too Tame, the 1-month member chat, and said William Byron ran into character for the first time.
I saw that one earlier, and I love
that made me laugh. It wouldn't let me leave a heart on it. Well, I guess because it's not my channel, but I was trying to leave it like a thumbs up, and it wouldn't let me.
They
but
don't
that was
let
funny.
you member chats, but we're gonna save the rest for the second super chat stage break. But now, guys, I'm actually looking outside, and there's still pretty dark clouds, and it's fitting because it is the lightning round. As Eric gets struck by lightning. No, you need to do
my lightning sound effect.
Really quick lightning round this week. First off, I want to thank the Spotify side of things for voting on their poll. I asked, where do you want the All-Star race to be held next, or just for next year? 4 options here. The last option with 5% of the vote was Bowman Gray. North Wilkesboro got 19% of the vote at 3rd. Charlotte got 34% of the vote, 2nd, and the winner with 42% of the vote was Rockingham. So now I'll think through the rest of the show what the poll for this week will be. A few quick things here. Josh Bilicki will be in the number 19 JGR car for the Xfinity Series for a couple races the rest of 2024, so good opportunity for him. The Sports Emmy for Outstanding Audio and Sound for live sports events went to NASCAR on Fox, proving that Helen Keller is the only voter.
Yeah, I saw that and I grimaced. Like 10 years ago, yes.
Yeah.
No, we've actively had people on this show complaining about how badly Fox mixes the audio for races nowadays. So
Who
that
work
is
on race broadcasts.
That's brutal. That is unbelievable that they won the award this year. That's disgusting. I'm horrified.
I mean, it just proves you can't take any of these award shows seriously. Probably never could.
Like some people get pissed off when their favorite movie doesn't win the Oscar. This pisses me off just as bad, if not worse. That's unbelievable.
Impractical Joker star Murr will be the Grand Marshal at Sonoma. Watch, that's actually a punishment of his for the show. And really quick, for our Top Gear fans, Jeremy Clarkson has been voted the UK's sexiest man alive for the 2nd straight year.
What? I didn't know that was a thing.
It is. He beat Tom Holland and Cillian Murphy. What? And Idris Elba.
Wow. What? Well done.
It is
well done, sir.
It is the peak performance of the male body. That is Jeremy Clarkson.
In the world.
And I do have to ask, David, where can you get that specific energy drink of his? I'll bring it on next time you're on the show.
No. Not this month. Not this month. Nope. Not happening. Ask me in June. We're having a good month, boys. I think I actually do have a can of that in my fridge still.
Hey, if I come up on Monday, let me have it for a prop.
You know what? You absolutely can. You know what? How about you post about it on Twitter?
Oh, okay.
And tag it everybody who doesn't like me, and then you can. It'd be fantastic. It'll be a hit tweet. Trust me.
I'm pretty sure we have overlap in who doesn't like us on Twitter. So
I bet we do. I bet all 4 of us do in this. My goodness.
To be fair, it wasn't me that wanted to actually push on asking this. When I told my fiance you'd be on the show, she's like, "Tell me where I can find some of it." So
Amazon.
Well, we tried, and Amazon declined our order.
No kidding.
What?
Yeah,
Not like them to turn away money.
I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I
what?
I want to
Man.
surprise her one night. Like, what fiance wouldn't want?
You're really making me want to say it. I'm just not going
Careful,
to. Man.
Icarus. Careful, Icarus.
I know. I'm flying too close to that sun right there. Man.
Oh, man. Real quick. There's no good segue I have for this one. Next week, we'll be on Danny's channel. So we'll bring all this over to your channel, Danny, on the 29th of May. And we got a special guest in Jeff Fabiano coming on in that one, and Raw Gator the week after. So
that.
Yeah, looking forward to next week. We'll have Jeff on, and we can talk a little bit of NASCAR gaming future. We can talk about what's going on in the wild and wacky world of OCRP and all that good stuff.
And maybe there'll be more news about the sexiest man alive. But that is the lightning round. Eric, you're going to be struck by lightning again. Make a sound effect.
What was that?
I got to outdo myself every time.
Oh, my God. By the way, we are less than 150 likes away from the random driver segment. So come on, let's get up there. We're only, 134 away. You guys can do it.
People, it is so freaking easy. Take your mouse and just click the button. Or if you're on your phone, click the button. If you're on your TV, it's a little harder to figure it out, but click the button.
Danny's yelling at me.
You know who's clicking the self-destruct button? Might be Stewart-Haas. So let's jump.
Good segue.
I'm getting better. I'm working on him. So there's rumors everywhere about Stewart-Haas, whether it's, rumor of, so-and-so drivers left out to it's all going to go under. The rumor is a fire sale at the moment. That's the latest one. The Gene Haas, Tony Stewart may sell all 4 charters for somewhere between 20 and 30 mil a piece, thus flooding the market and also reducing the price by anywhere from 33 to 50% compared to where they are at this point.
Talk about value.
Value. There's more depreciating value that we can talk about there. But yeah, Eric, lead us off on this one.
I think so. About a month and a half ago, I heard something about Cole Custer being linked to Front Row Motorsports. And at the time I thought, what? And then Michael McDowell announces he's leaving for Spire. And I thought, oh, okay, I guess there's an opening there, but why wouldn't Cole Custer just drive for Stewart-Haas? They're going to keep at least 2 charters, right? And their Xfinity Series team. Now I've heard, and there's rumors everywhere, so take all of this with a grain of salt. I heard a couple weeks back that everything's for sale at Stewart-Haas.
I've heard too recently.
There's a strong likelihood that Front Row effectively replaces Stewart-Haas as that third Ford key partner. So they go from a 2 to potentially a 4-car team. The other 2 Stewart-Haas charters could go elsewhere, but I could see maybe a Cole Custer going to Front Row if he doesn't stay with the Xfinity Series program. But it's all up in the air. And, I feel for the 4 drivers because they don't know what's going on and they're all trying to race for their jobs right now while also trying to make the playoff. There's a lot going on. I think Chase Briscoe will find a seat because he's good and Ford likes him. And I think Noah Gragson has enough sponsorship and potential upside that they don't have to worry too much. It's a distraction, but I don't think they need to panic. Josh Berry, Ryan Preece, I'll try to think glass half full, but it might be a little trickier for those 2. But my reaction is, wow. When I first heard a month and a half ago that something was up with Front Row, I had no idea that it was potentially going to lead to all this. It's madness.
That's the thing is it's change. The thing is, it's changing every day from what I've heard. At least rumors I hear from people is that this thing will be true one day, and then it's well, no, now this has shifted a little bit here and back and forth. But I want all of us to kind of put a percentage, 100% being completely sure, 0% never going to happen, to this statement. Stewart-Haas Racing is not in NASCAR in 2025.
I think 5%. I think they will keep their Xfinity Series team because it's very important to Ford. They might stay with Ford in some ways as a key partner Xfinity team. Because think about it, if Stewart-Haas leaves Xfinity, what do they have left? Ryan Sieg, they get their cars from SHR, I'm pretty sure. What AM Racing, I suppose. So I think the Xfinity team sticks around. I think I'll give it a 40% chance they're still in Cup. Let me put it that way.
Whoever wants to go next, go for it. I want to hear all these.
Talk about the chances that they are just gone from NASCAR next year, right?
I mean, you can differentiate Cup and Xfinity. I think Eric did that, and I think that's probably a good way to go about it too, but go for it.
I will say 45% chance that they are out of NASCAR entirely. I feel a lot more confident than Eric per se, but there's a chance that makes me think that Haas might stick around in some capacity, but I definitely think Tony wants to move on.
I could see a situation where Tony sells his 2 charters and Gene keeps his in Cup. Yeah. But I also think there's a chance that it just all goes away because, that's a partnership and Tony is most of the sponsorship, right? So if Tony leaves, if you're Gene, shouldn't you sell everything and just, cut your losses at that point? That's kind of my thought process with that.
What was it that Barney Visser said? Wasn't it Barney Visser? Or no, maybe it was Bob Levine. I think it was Barney Visser said right around the time Furniture Row went out of business and shut down that, hey, we could keep this thing afloat, but we can't keep the same alliance with JGR. We're going to go from contending for championships to running 25th. And I don't really want to do that.
So I texted a source, by the way. I can give you some info. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This source, who's pretty good, connected to NASCAR, says, junk show, they're all but done life support.
Yeah, that's
where the rumors have all gone in the last couple of weeks. That's interesting. I think Haas. What am I trying to say? Where was I going with that? I think Gene Haas is out just because if you go from 4 to 2 cars, you're likely no longer a key Ford partner. And why keep pouring money into this thing if you're going to run 25th to 30th, which I guess they're basically doing now, which is what's led to this instance. But you're right, David, about Tony Stewart playing some role with sponsorship, like that Mahindra deal with Chase Briscoe. Who was in the commercials with him? It's Tony Stewart.
Bass Pro Shops initially was a Tony Stewart sponsor.
Yeah. Now they'll stick with Noah, I think, in some capacity.
But does Noah have to stick with them?
Well, it depends on where he goes. If he drives the Love's car next year, then maybe not. But that's just speculation.
I got a theory on Noah.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to save it for the predictions. I don't know if I want to do it now, but I'm going to give my percentage really quick. I think 80% chance are gone. The drivers are already shopping themselves out. Chase Briscoe's a Ford guy, already connected with the Wood brothers. He can say he's not talking to anyone. He just doesn't want to be Kirk Cousins and admit tampering. My theory on Noah Gragson is he's going to drive the 3 car. Bass Pro Shop sponsor.
I see.
Austin Dillon's been rumored to maybe step aside, go to the ownership side of things, and on top of that, with that similar connection to sponsorship, I think Noah Gragson could probably perform better than 31st or 32nd in points, which is where Austin Dillon has been. If there's any performance aspect of the contract, Austin Dillon is not meeting it. That's my theory.
I just think that RCR would be mistaken and not put Austin Hill in that 3 car instead.
But I think the thing with Noah Gragson is proven this weekend with the fan vote. Like, he is a popular driver. I mean, Alex Bowman is a popular driver, and he didn't beat Noah Gragson in the fan vote. And it's not to rub salt in the wound, because like I don't have any ill will or anything against Alex Bowman, but Noah Gragson is a very popular driver. And I think that between that side of it, the sponsorship side of it, the fact he can perform better than Austin Dillon, the fact that Austin Dillon probably would admit that, like, it makes sense to me. Whether or not it happens, I don't know, but it makes sense to me.
So at the same time, as we've been talking about Kyle Busch's decline, would that be a lateral move, or would it be going down for Greg's at this point? I don't know.
It'd probably be at least lateral. I did look it up the other day, and I was just confirming it. Austin Dillon, it's believed his contract goes through next year, which is the only reason I think he'll see this contract through. They just brought Justin Alexander out of retirement. I think they'll give them next year to try and figure it out. But if next year's a struggle, I could absolutely see Austin Dillon moving upstairs. I like the Bass Pro connection. I don't think Noah Gragson, personality-wise, meshes with Richard Childress whatsoever. I just don't see that working out. I don't even think he meshes with Kyle Busch. Do they still have a good relationship? Didn't things kind of end a little ugly at KBM?
Well, I'm not sure.
I may be wrong
about
that.
We said the same thing about Tony Stewart and about going to Stewart-Haas, and now he's been one of the best Ford drivers this year.
I thought that Gregson personality wise might not mesh with some of the other drivers because you got grassroots guys like Barry and Briscoe scratch and clawed for everything, and then you got this rich West Coast kid coming in there, and it's like I could see that clashing. But
Well, him and Barry were already good friends from Junior Motorsports.
they were teammates. I mean, they obviously all seem to get along well because they've had secret study groups without Ryan
Without
Preece.
Ryan Preece here. Let's remember that.
So
part.
Preece ended up being the odd man out, which I did not see coming. So maybe my judge of personality is off. I will concede that.
By the way, we're 70 likes away, so we're closing in, y'all.
Yeah, it's a mess at Stewart-Haas. I definitely think it's highly likely everything sells. That's where all signs seem to be pointing. The question really to me now is who buys it. I think Front Row buys 2. Jerry Freeze, I think Bob Pockrass quoted him this week. Jerry Freeze, their general manager, specifically mentioned that like 3 charters is where they want to be. Like that's like a sweet spot for them. So maybe that means they only buy 1 charter and then there's 3 going out to the ether. I have no idea, but I could just see them. I think Trackhouse is definitely going to buy at least 1. I don't know if Shane Van Gisbergen's ready for Cup full time. He's 15th in Xfinity points in colleague equipment.
Well, then
he's got a couple of top 10s. Zane Smith will get inspired.
I wouldn't expect it to be SVG who takes that.
Like I think if Trackhouse gets 1 charter, it's Zane Smith's. If they get 2, they'll put Shane in Cup. But I'm just saying, like, unless the price is really good, I don't know if now's the time for Shane. He's only 35. Like he's got 5-6 more years of prime racing left. You don't need to rush him into the Cup Series if he's going to run 27th every week. Like, I don't know. If he can only truly contend at road courses and maybe super speedways, give him another year in Xfinity. Like he's getting better. Let him keep working it out. And what's the word? Expand gradually. Trackhouse doesn't seem to be quite at the top of their game right now. The last thing they need to do is double in size, spread those resources even more thin and go from there. Like I think they need to be slow and methodical the way 2311 has been, I think.
I also think RFK is ready to go get another one at this point. Now that both drivers have won a race, I think now's the time they could probably roll out with the number 60 as their 3rd full-time number.
Be fitting with what our next segment will be with the Hall of Fame who got voted in and who's really damn good in the 60 with the Xfinity Series.
Yeah. We can move on to that if you'd like. I don't know there's a whole lot else to add. Stewart-Haas is spiraling. When it happens, if and when it happens, they go under. All 4 charters are sold. We will have a really interesting discussion about how we got to this point, because like with Furniture Row, they shut down a year or so after winning a championship, not because they weren't competitive anymore, but just because they were a victim of NASCAR's extremely flawed business model at the time. They were a Colorado-based team trying to make it happen the old-fashioned way, and that's just not feasible anymore. But if Stewart-Haas goes under this year, it's not because they're a scrappy upstart team. It's because they just over the course of several years lost veteran drivers, lost multi-million-dollar sponsors. Tony and Gene became disinterested, blatantly disengaged. It's been a slow. It's been Kevin Harvick calling them out this week. It's been a slow burn. It's very different. One championship team shut down because of the business. Stewart-Haas shutting down would be, to me, just a complete
I'm looking forward to writing that rise and fall. I'm just saying it now.
It will make for an interesting story.
I'll pose a question. I've brought this up with Richard Childress Racing too. Were they ever that good, or was it the driver that was hauling their ass up? If you look at RCR,
they had 1 year at least for sure. They had 1 year for sure.
1 year. So did Michael Waltrip Racing.
Well, Michael Waltrip Racing, if they are still around, who knows what they could still be capable of. But
I'm thinking like Kevin Harvick carried them for the most part of the last decade. Tony Stewart before that. Newman was hit or miss. There'd be one year he'd be like a 10th place guy in points. Another year he's running where Dale Jr. was running in the late 2000s. Danica Patrick is Danica.
She was a waste of resources. Let's just say it at this point.
Like in stock cars, yeah. Eric Almirola, I guess, is consistent. Clint Boyer was at the end of his career, but could put up a few wins here or there.
I would say, here's where I think we talked earlier about where did their downfall begin. You could argue it was, when when Ford, that's what I was going to get to, when Ford wouldn't let Tony Stewart pursue Larson. I don't know if he wins that bidding war against Hendrick Motorsports, but at the time, Harvick was dominating. So maybe Larson does end up at Stewart-Haas. That could be it. I would go 2 years earlier when they lost Kurt Busch to Chip Ganassi. Kurt Busch is a franchise player. We see how 23XI values him. I think that was the start. You lose Harvick, eventually Clint Boyer retires. Now Kevin Harvick's gone. I think that was sort of the start. What happened when Roush cratered? Matt Kenseth left. Carl Edwards left the next 2 years later.
Well, Biffle said
Biffle left a year after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. I think that was
Greg
part
Biffle, if I recall correctly, he just said he just rather not be in a sport altogether if he wasn't going to be competitive with them.
But yeah, and then he was he on Dale Jr. Download, I think it was, where he said that he had the offer that Kenseth got. He had the offer to the 20 and then the 19 that Edwards got later and said no both times to stay loyal.
Freaking maniac. Absolute maniac.
I mean,
and then he ends up showing up years later with KBM and then the Brando 44, and now he's got a YouTube channel. I don't know what they're doing anymore.
And he showed up and just kicked a bunch of kids' asses in the truck series and said, "All right, I'm done."
He's on the Hall of Fame ballot.
Yeah. Well, and
that's the segue.
That's a good That's a good segue. So we got our Hall of Fame initiates this year, nominees who have now been voted in. So the Landmark Award went to Dean Sicking. The Pioneer ballot, Ralph Moody. Modern Era ballot, Ricky Rudd. Danny, do whatever celebration you need. You've been on this train.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared, but
yeah.
See, I thought you were going to play Alice in Chains or something, but that's good too. And then Carl Edwards got in. Do we have any issues with this, or do we like it?
No issues for me this time.
I think based on the nominees, this is fine. I would have probably voted Harry Gant in over Carl Edwards. I think you can even make a case. Maybe I would have voted Jeff Burton or even Jack Sprague, who's a 3-time truck champion, in first. Like, Carl Edwards has Hall of Fame numbers. I think, Jim Pashal is in the NASCAR Hall of Fame with 25 Cup wins. So that's sort of the benchmark. And Edwards had 28. He only raced full time for like 12 or 13 years. But you also have to keep in mind what these guys did outside of the race car or off the pit box. How did they shape the sport? Carl Edwards didn't really shape the sport at all. He retired and disappeared. It's barely been seen since then. Whereas Jeff Burton is the head of the Driver Advisory Council. His son's in the Cup Series. He's a broadcaster with NBC. And that's why Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Was his on-track results the best? It was Hall of Fame worthy, but it wasn't the best. He was a first ballot Hall of Famer because he has shaped the sport unlike any other driver the past 2 decades. So, yeah, when you factor that in, I might have put a different driver in over Edwards this time around. But if Carl wasn't going to get in this year, he was most likely going to get in next year. So I really don't have any significant issue with the list.
Yeah, Ricky Rudd, I've argued this too many times. He should have been a Hall of Famer forever ago, in my opinion. What he accomplished as a driver was good, but he was a semi-successful owner driver as well in the sport. And his team had a short time in the sport, but a very memorable time with that Tide ride.
And let me issue a brief correction. Doritos Mountain Dew just mentioned it. I mentioned Jim Pashal is in. He's not actually in the Hall of Fame, but that 25 win is like the mark. It's like if you have more than that, like Dale Jr. is 26, he's in. If you have less than that, that's like the line. So if you're over 25 Cup wins, the odds are you should make it in. Sorry. So I got that stat slightly wrong.
I will admit while he wasn't on my initial ballot, the way that Danny's been on the Ricky Rudd train for years. So good on you.
It would just always be so unfortunate because it's like he needs to be in, but then they'd just be like, "Oh, here's Dale, here's Jimmy," and it's like, "Oh, Ricky, you keep getting pushed back," and I'm not like Ricky Rudd is 67 years old, and I was like, I don't want this man to be like 90 in a wheelchair before he finally gets in.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I do. Next year, Harry Gant needs to get in. Unless is there somebody we don't know of who is going to get put on this ballot that will be.
I'm just curious what car they're going to have in the Hall of Fame for Ricky Rudd. Would it be a Tide Ride car? Would it be like the 28? Would it be the 21? I mean, he's got so many different cars.
I think it has to be the Tide Ride, right? Like, that's when I think of Ricky Rudd, that's the car I think of, right?
What about when he drove for Childress briefly? You could throw one of those in there.
Definitely not his years at Yates or year at Yates.
What if those are the only cars they can find?
There's not many of them left after that year. They were
oh, well, yeah, you're right. They just don't exist. But yeah, he did get a few wins there.
But I'm happy that he's in. I think Randy Dorton should be in, just because you don't see the contributions that those away from the track make to get into the hall, unless it's like somebody really, really damn good that like everyone talks about and can be put into a Pixar movie as a character. Yeah, I'm looking at Cars 3 on that one. But that's just me on that one. I'm surprised he didn't make it because of the Hendrick stuff that's been going on and how that's been a continuing storyline in their 40th anniversary. I thought the politics of that would get him in. Not that he doesn't deserve to get in off of merit. I think he should. But that's just my take on it. But I'm not too upset. I mean, it does seem kind of fitting and kind of like it came together right as Edwards is at the track a lot more. I mean, we saw Edwards at the track at 2 of the races we were at last year with Nashville and Darlington. So I think we're going to see him again. My prediction might be right that Edwards will be back at a race again this year.
Someone said give Hendrick a break for a year. Well, Ricky Rudd was a Hendrick driver even, so.
By the way, 30 likes away. Does anyone have any other statements, David?
Heck, no. Leave a like on this video if the 97 Brickyard winner should be in the Hall of Fame. That's the car I'm voting for. That's what I think of with Ricky Rudd. So let's get that 30 likes for the 97 Brickyard winner in the Hall of Fame.
Everything, if you watch long enough with David Land, will come back to Indianapolis.
That would be that was the Tide ride, right? That would be a good looking car. Put that in there.
Yes, for David, everything will come home to Indy.
All right, well, let's see. Where are we at right now? Are we getting? No, we're not close enough. So, guys, how about we go into our prediction segment? So we'll kind of explain how this goes for you, David. So we're
gonna put you on the spot a little bit.
I love the spot.
Oh yeah. So for the prediction segment here, the rules are as such. Each host or guest will make 3 NASCAR or motorsports or show-related predictions, though I would save any race picks for the race pick segment later on in the night. We've had a few run-ins to problems on that one. We will keep track, at least with the host, of each right and wrong prediction every week because we're the only NASCAR show dumb enough to show how wrong we are. And we will keep our predictions kind of concise. Keep them like 2 to 3 years within it. We'll keep track long term, but I don't want to be looking 10 years down the road at some prediction we made in 2024 and 2034. And now part of this too is our accountability segment. I'll lead us off. What I got right or wrong this weekend, I had one wrong prediction. I said the leader of the All-Star Open with 10 to go would not win the Open. He did.
Ty Gibbs led every lap.
Yeah, it was a theme of the night.
Yeah.
Eric.
Oh, how'd I do?
You said that there would be a surface-related caution and or red flag during the North Wilkesboro All-Star Race weekend. There was stuff on the surface that caused red flags, but the surface itself did not. And Danny?
I can almost argue.
No, you can't.
Well, let me just make that. No, I agree it's wrong. But my argument was the reason behind my argument is it's an old track, and I thought SMI would do a shoddy job repaving it. You could argue the red flag for the truck race and then the 4 feet of water is a result of it being an old track and them not having the proper infrastructure. I guess that's not a surface-related caution, so that's fair. I'm just pointing out that I was on the right path. I was on the right path.
I just love that the little sound clip here. I can almost argue. No, you can't.
You guys wouldn't let me argue the 2 flips at Talladega, so you can't argue.
We argued about that for 3 days.
Yeah, I was going to say, we let you argue pretty long on that one.
I even had a winning poll to back me up, and I couldn't argue.
Danny, you had the best weekend. Nothing came off the board for you.
I set myself up for a slow week.
So our prediction percentage as we run, I have 36.36%. I'm still in the lead over Eric's 31.25.
That's how bad we are, David. 30% is the leader. That's how
36.
36% is
that'd be a good batting average in baseball.
We're close. You could throw a blanket over us right now.
Danny's at 29.63. All right. let's roll on into it. David, do you want to lead us off, or do you want to go shotgun caboose on the?
No, I'll lead
predictions?
us off. I'll lead us off.
Let's go.
All right. I'm gonna say this with the caveat that I'm absolutely trying to jinx it, but I'm looking at the weather report, and my prediction is that the Indy 500, for the first time since the 1960s, or actually the 1970s, because it used to. So a little bit of a background before I say this: the Indianapolis 500 has always run the day before the Memorial Day, but before 1974, Memorial Day could fall on any day of the week. So the Indy 500 up until 1973 was run on weekdays, weekends, whenever that day landed. So I say this with as much confidence as I have that I'm going to jinx this. We are about to see the first Indy 500 since 1973 to run on a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
Wow.
The weather report does not look good.
All right.
Maybe you won't be seeing us on Monday.
Yeah.
Well, I'll. Hey,
You got a couch.
If it's raining, let me
I
tell
got a
you
job
something.
to get back to.
I can work on the road, baby.
I mean, you guys can come hang out in the media center with me. It's going to be a really long day if that's the case.
Well, no, we can't just walk in there. We don't have access like you do for Indy.
I can get you in. I can get you in. I've already sweet talked all of the security guards in the media center love me. All I do is go, these are my friends. Can they come up? And they go, don't worry.
Yeah.
I've schmoozed the right people. Okay.
You can try that. I'm not ready to risk that.
That's how you make it in this business.
I am. And I'm ready to risk on my next prediction. I don't know which one I'm going to choose from, but we're going to figure it out right now. My prediction is this. Jimmy Johnson will be involved in one of the first 3 yellows in the Coke 600.
Oh, that's so mean to Jimmy.
Well, he's going to be in one of them. I might as well make
I know
it
you're
specific.
not wrong. You're not wrong.
My first prediction is in a similar vein as David with the weather prediction, although I won't go maybe quite as extreme as him. I do believe both the Indy 500 and I'll say the Coke 600 as well will be impacted in some way, shape, or form by weather.
So I feel like I'm still separate from you guys by saying this. Kyle Larson will have no issues getting from Indy to Charlotte because Indy will be forced to postpone on Sunday. Plenty of time ahead of the Coke 600 to be run on Monday.
All right.
Jared, it's your fault if it gets rained out because we all tried to jinx it and you didn't.
I mean, I still have another shot. I have 2 other predictions I can roll out there.
Come on.
But I don't want to ruin my prediction percentage. You're up. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shoot! I've got to do more than one.
You're back
3.
on the clock.
3, buddy.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Kyle Larson will finish in the top 10 in the Indy 500. That's an easy one.
So you didn't
That's a good
overlap with mine. I will say this. This is one of them I did. This is my prediction. This is a previous prediction. I wanted to hedge my bets on it so I could be that one asshole to say I was right. I said he'd win both of them. Just because if it happens, I will never let anyone forget. Even though I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. My next prediction, I'm going to keep going with where I was before. I think Noah Gragson in the next 2 seasons will drive the number 3 car RCR.
All right.
I'm a petty asshole.
I see that. I believe next year it will be Harry Gant and Jeff Burton getting voted into the Hall of Fame off the modern ballot.
And watch, it's like, oh, this person here was a 4-time champion, and this, and this is going to be on the ballot.
Yeah, they're gonna put like some not like a weekly series guy again or something.
We're gonna vote for Jimmy Johnson again. Why the hell not?
Indiana basketball superstar Caitlin Clark will be at the Indy 500 and be showcased being there either online or on TV in some capacity.
Good prediction.
That is
Good
a good
prediction.
The online or anything like that if we're gonna keep counting that as a guess, that could put my prediction of the Iowa weekend in play still.
What was your
prediction?
prediction?
Well, yeah, Indy 500 has nothing to do with what happens at Iowa.
No, but what I'm saying is like my prediction was that she in some way would be a special guest at Iowa, and then I immediately was told, oh yeah, she has a game that day. Well, if something's pre-recorded, since we're counting it for Indy, Over
That's true.
digital, we're counting it for mine. Then I want to say that now before I have to make an argument about it in a month.
I just specified it in my prediction. You did what you will with your prediction.
But you've opened it wider on that one. The scope is bigger now on what can be right.
All right. Making a lot of arguments on this show to
like
back up
it.
our loose predictions.
It's fun. It's fun, man. It's fun. And we're 11 likes away, by the way.
So are we on the final round then of predictions? We got one more each.
Final round.
Oh, I go first, don't I? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
one more time on the spot.
Hold my hand here, guys. Here's my prediction. A Chevy will win the Indy 500 and the Brickyard 400.
Oh, you go Brickyard.
Like
I'm not going. Okay.
I like it.
All right.
What do I want my last one to be? I'll put it like this. Before Chicago, I think before Chicago, Alex Bowman will have 10 or more top 10s and lead the NASCAR Cup Series still in top 10 finishes. There's a lot that can happen in those races. We got Gateway, which has been weird. The 600 has been amazing, but also because of that has been difficult. Sonoma. There's a lot that could happen, but I think that Alex Bowman will have double-digit top 10s and still lead the Cup Series in top 10s basically by July.
I think that Kyle Larson, I had to work a Kyle Larson prediction here. I think Kyle Larson, if he runs the Indy 500, will finish top 5 in both races. If he doesn't run the Indy 500, this is just a wash. Just delete this prediction, Jared. Does not count as a.
Wait a minute. So it would be wrong.
No, I'm saying if he runs both races, he'll finish top 5.
So this is a 2025 prediction.
To be fair, you didn't specify the year.
I'm
Come
talking
on,
about this
you
year.
we gotta be concise. We can't just be like, if it happens, it's right. Like it's right or it's
That's
wrong.
pretty fucking concise. Like how much more
It's
concise?
right or it's wrong, Eric. There's.
If he runs the race, if he doesn't run the race, he's damn well not going to finish in the top 5.
So it'll be wrong, right?
No, but
Yes, it will.
If he runs the Indy 500, he's going to finish in the top 5, and the Coke 600 obviously will finish in the top 5. Is that against the rules? That feels like a pretty basic prediction.
I think it's making it just the easiest, right or wrong. I mean, it's like,
okay, fine. I'll make it. I'll dumb it down to a first grade level. Kyle Larson will finish top 5 in the Indy 500 and the Coke 600. And if he gets rained out of the Indy 500, I guess I'm wrong because he didn't run the race that I predicted he would finish top 5 in. I guess I'm wrong because I didn't predict the weather properly.
Well,
All right.
hey, I didn't know that Eric Almirola wasn't gonna get to run a truck race, but I still got 0 points from not being there. So you got to suffer with this one too.
You knew
the Jeff picked Kevin LePage.
You know there's a chance he might not race. And speaking of not making it stuff, I'll go with my last one here. Something will happen last minute on his schedule that prevents the former president from making it to Charlotte after all.
Because he's going to get rained out at Indy. Oh, no.
And it was beautiful rain.
The big, beautiful rain. So good.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying on that.
And through our long stalling conversation, we have hit 500 likes. So let's do the random driver segment now before we roll on into this weekend. So David, with this, make sure you can't see the chat. They will give it away.
Oh, okay. Let me minimize the chat. Okay, chat has been minimized.
All right. So this is the random driver of the week segment where I will throw out clues. I have over 20 this week.
Ooh.
So I'll throw out clues for a random driver. You can shout out who your guess is at any point. You get 3 guesses. At that point, if you get 3 guesses and they're wrong, you're out. At the document I sent to you, David, at the bottom has a list of drivers we've had in recent weeks. We've had
okay. Let me.
Yeah, just scroll all the way to the bottom. These are the ones
last week. Cale Gale was last week.
Gale was last week. Danny got that one.
That's Zoom. I don't want to Zoom.
I managed to stump everybody with Chad Chaffin the week before. Danny got Carson Hocevar. Right, Eric?
Yeah, well, Brock and I helped a little bit there, but yes.
You got the assist. You guys got the assist.
Oh, Eric, who got Curtis Turner? That's tough, man.
I can't remember who did. That was a while ago.
You really screwed somebody.
Eric got Kenny Irwin Jr. and a couple weeks ago.
That was a luck one.
The last time the guest won, it was old John Ramos getting Jimmy Spencer. So
okay,
he did get that one. Yeah, good for him.
Can be but right. Remember he guessed Cale Gale when I said that he was like born in the 60s.
Hey, he redeemed himself.
A guest has also got Tony Raines, and Eric also gave her that.
I have a bad habit of like thinking out loud and saying names that other people then guess and wipe out from under me because it turns out to be correct. So I need to stop. Oh. I need to keep my thoughts to myself.
Eric got, from what Alessandro's saying, Eric got Curtis Turner.
Oh, yeah. See, I know Curtis Turner a little bit.
All right.
Slap Shoes did a good video on him way back whenever back in the day. So that's everything I know about Curtis Turner I learned from our boy Slap. Otherwise, I'd probably be lost.
All right, let's roll into it. Starting with our first one here. This random driver was born in Glendale, Arizona.
Okay.
I've already given it away, right?
There's one driver I think is from Glendale, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, that's.
Let's go ahead and say Alex Bowman. Get it over with.
Is that your guess?
Yes.
You're wrong.
My guess is Michael McDowell.
You're also wrong.
Okay, I just had to throw it out there. I never use all three of my guesses.
Go ahead and just use those easy Arizona boys right off the bat.
I am not ready. I'm not prepared to take a guess yet. Although that sounds familiar. I think I might, but I don't have a name on my tongue yet.
Yeah, there can't be that many drivers from Glendale. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, Jarrett. What's next?
This random driver is one of 10 children. So,
we're sure it's not Michael McDowell.
I mean, Michael McDowell probably has 10 children.
That's I guess I was assuming he was probably also one of a lot of. I know he's got a lot of kids.
Glendale, Arizona, and 10 children.
Yeah,
so this is probably an older driver then, for sure.
Well, this random driver's best Cup finish was at Michigan International Speedway, finishing 5th.
Is it Morgan Shepherd?
It is not.
Okay.
Man, so everyone has one guess. This is the earliest everyone's had one guess off the board. Nice.
It's because Arizona, if you'd said he's from Charlotte, North Carolina, we would have all just skipped over it.
This random driver only made 35 NASCAR Cup Series starts.
Oh.
Yeah, now you're not speaking my language anymore.
35. And won at Michigan?
No, finished 5th at Michigan.
Finished 5th at Michigan.
Yes,
okay.
That was
his best Cup finish, so never won a Cup race.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
This random driver also served in the U.S. Navy. I'm like looking at the chat, seeing like if anyone has gotten any yet. Let's see.
In the Navy?
In the Navy.
To my knowledge, Jesse Iwuji is not from Arizona. Or
I was about to say, is it Jesse Iwuji? No, I'm not going to guess. I don't think it's it. I don't think that's it. You wouldn't have given us that hint so early.
Jesse Iwuji wouldn't have finished 5th at Michigan.
That's a good point.
Cale Gale. This random driver was stationed in the Solomon Islands during World War II.
Okay, all right.
Iwuji.
So now,
wow,
Jesse Iwuji. Okay, we're way
Iwuji stormed Normandy, boys.
Well, speaking of other wars here, this random driver was also staunchly against and protested against the Vietnam War.
What?
Just trust me, it'll make sense as it goes. This random driver began their racing career at the age of 37.
Oh my God. What is happening?
It's not Marty Robbins, is it?
Is that your guess?
That's not a bad guess.
I'm going to go ahead and make the guess. It's Marty Robbins.
You're in with that?
It's guess 2. I'm going to go for it.
You're right.
Wow.
No way.
What? You got it.
That's a great. You said it, and the moment you said, I'm like, he's right.
Well, when he asked him the second time, are you sure? I was like, you got it.
Yeah.
I've asked that before though on people too, and when they're wrong. But
yeah. Wow. Good old Western Marty Robbins.
Well, I was like, who would be a hippie? I'm like, it's got to be the country singer, right? Like that's the only one that makes sense.
That's a good man. I'm jealous you got that right.
5th to Michigan.
God, I think it was like 73 or 72, somewhere in there.
Didn't he have?
Oh, the
what
chat's
was
going crazy. Holy crap.
What was the year he was Talladega where he like cheated his car up to lead some laps?
So he did that in 72. He took the spacer plate out of his car and then willingly pulled his car in to pit road, admitted it to the officials, and when Big Bill France confronted him on it, he said, quote, "I just wanted to see what it was like to run up front."
Yeah, I love that. And didn't he say it was like it was worth it to see the look on, I don't know, Pearson's face or whoever it was?
Well, Donnie Allison had said in an interview that he had 2 goals in his career. One was to beat Bobby Allison at the Nashville Fairgrounds, and the other was to say he passed Richard Petty.
I love that.
I'm trying to see if there's some other funny ones. He actually saved Richard Childress in a race at Charlotte. He was going to hit him at 160 miles an hour on the door side because his car was stalled. So Marty Robbins steered the car down the track and hit the inside concrete wall at 160 miles an hour.
Oof. That was a good one, man. I'm jealous you got that one so quick, David, because that was
that was just
bull.
What I mean.
He was
it's
also
so weird. That's weird. Yeah.
He was also the pace car driver at the 60th Indianapolis 500.
Oh
no! I almost swore.
1976.
No kidding.
Yep.
I actually didn't know that. You hit me with. I knew who Marty Robbins was. I didn't know he drove the pace car. So
wow, there you go.
There you go.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's some other good ones. He won Rookie of the Race in the 1971 Southern 500. Yeah, actually, he was supposed to win Rookie of the Race at that Talladega race, but he's like, yeah, I cheated. Let's see. I'm seeing if there's any other. Because I tried to keep it vague, at least. Like, he died less than a month after his last Cup race. And
I didn't know that.
The next race at the fairgrounds in 1983, it was the Marty Robbins 420. They named the race.
Oh, hell yeah. He is totally a hippie then, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So good job on that one, David.
Yeah.
I love how the guests this year have like been on a majority of the shows, but are like, I need to see the standings. I'm pretty sure it's like
we're
tied for the lead.
Yeah, now I think literally it's a tie.
It is.
Danny, me, and the guests all have 4 correct answers, but the guests have been on a few less shows, so the guests probably own the tiebreaker.
And I got 1. I stumped him. See, I've already conceded defeat on this. Like, I'm not gonna stump everyone every week. So the fact I got 1 already makes me happy.
Yeah, because you come up with like 40 clues. We're gonna get it. Well, except for that one guy. We're almost always gonna get it after 30 clues.
Yeah,
but
who did I stump? I stumped you on Chad Chaffin.
Yeah, I did
Another
not know who
Nashville
that was
boy.
at the time. Man.
So that was fun. All right.
Nice.
And now the main course of the night. Let's get into the Indy 500, Coke 600 preview. I would say Monaco, but I don't think even our audience really wants us to talk about that.
Verstappen's going to win.
I don't know. Lando's giving it to him or giving him a run for his money a couple weeks in a row. You never know.
Don't
Max
spoil the parade.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. Like a couple years ago, I tried with F1, like, and I appreciate it for what it is. But my God, the Kyle Larson thing has made me so freaking annoyed by F1 fans who like have obviously only started watching racing since Drive to Survive started, and it's the fans that are turning me off of it.
Hold it in, Jared. Hang in there. Hang in there.
When have I ever held it in? That's the whole point of this show, is for me to blab it, and you guys, you're like my therapist. I come on here and blab, and you're like, it's okay, Rocky. Take your time.
Why did Danny wait until an hour and a half?
He was knocking at the door, and I was tired of hearing him knock.
I was wondering why you turned the lights on after, because people
Well,
at the
I
beginning of the
realized
show
it
was
on,
like,
so I just said turn them on.
yeah. Everyone in the beginning of the show was like, "Ooh, some mood lighting in Danny's office." I like that. Okay.
All right, let's go in really quick. A lot of weekend notes here. First off, if you haven't heard, Kyle Larson is going to be attempting the double.
No way!
Wait, what?
I know.
No
like,
way.
I'm serious. It's happening. Hopefully.
What car is he driving?
I don't know. There hasn't been
Lucky
much.
Is he locked in?
I don't know.
Is he the money in the bank? Is he going to bring the money in the bank briefcase to driver introductions? Is he just going to knock out Stingray Rob and take his ride?
Imagine cashing in Chase Elliott in the bank with 5 to go in Indy 500.
He's going to throw the red flag himself and jump in one of the Penske cars and win it.
And steering us back on course here. Real quick, just because this is pertinent to the if it's run all unscheduled time to the double, it is rumored that the former president Donald Trump could be at the 600, and Bob Pockrass reported this. He reported it, right, that there could be a no. I love that David's looking down, doesn't see I'm doing the same damn thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to look down when you're doing it because, like,
okay. Anyway, even former presidents do get a no-fly zone due to Secret Service, who's with every president, and that could impact how quickly Kyle Larson gets to the track. It's something to watch out for. We will go no further in than that because you come to the show to have fun. Now, talking about the race itself, there's some other drivers other than Kyle Larson in this race, like Shane Van Gisbergen in the Colleague 16, and Jimmy Johnson is in the 84. So that should be good. The 600 also is the first next-gen race that's not a Daytona 500 of the full 40-car field, and a third straight sellout for this race as well, because it probably will be up there with Kansas for race of the year. And in the lower series, Kyle Busch will be in the number 33 Xfinity car. Chase Elliott will be in the number 17 Xfinity car for Hendrick. And Brett Moffitt will be back in the 1 this weekend. So just for everyone to know for picks and different stuff like that. Let's start with the truck race and move up through the weekend from there. The truck race, I believe I did not change the name on it, so I can't. Well, hold on. I have it right here. Will be the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. It will be 134 laps. 30, 30, 74 is the stages. 8:30 p.m. start time Eastern time. It will be on FS1, the Fox Sports app, MRN, and Sirius XM radio. The forecast at the moment is 86 with evening thunderstorms, 35% chance of those. Ben Rhodes, your defending winner on that. The Xfinity race is the Bet MGM 300, 200 laps, 45, 45, 110, starting at noon Central. So there you go, David. And then that one will be on Big Fox with the drivers only broadcast. And wait a minute, can they please put Adam Alexander for the truck race since Jamie Little won't be in town?
Oh,
Please. I beg
She'll
for my
find a hop
ears.
on monitor and still do it.
But yeah, this race will be on Big Fox and PRN. 87, partly cloudy, only a 24% chance of rain. Justin Allgaier, your defending winner. The Sunday races, we'll skip right over Monaco because I'll be sleeping through it. The IndyCar race is the 108th running of the Indy 500, correct, David?
I believe so. There's a possibility that they will run on the road course, but it's hard to know at this time.
Damn. Well, if they're on the oval, it'll be 200 laps. Is it 12:45 Eastern time start time, or is that just what they had on the website?
That should be the start time. It kind of varies based on the year. Sometimes it starts as late as 1:30. Sometimes it's 12:45. It's just kind of dependent on TV and when NBC goes on the air. And
you're not Bob, but does the track have lights, and do we have rain tires?
No and no.
Damn.
However, somehow IMSA is going to get away with running a race at night. So I don't know how that's going to happen, but
They have headlights, right?
They do have headlights. In fact, they're a Peterbilt, for dang sake.
This will be on Big NBC and Peacock, as well as the IMS radio network, right? Not any specific, because I know that NASCAR, that's like the one race that's not on MRN or PRN, and Joseph Newgarden is the defending winner. I think I've said every time you've been on the show, I actually ran into him at the airport when I went to fly up to Minnesota for the Jets-Vikings game in 2022. Oh, yeah? Yeah. I was just, I hear Joseph Newgarden to the front, to the desk, and I'm like, huh? There he goes.
He's just full legal name and everything.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a celebrity. Come here now.
Is there a Joseph Newgarden celebrating a special birthday?
I think he was flying to England, if I'm not mistaken. The forecast, unfortunately, 76 degrees with thunderstorms, 90% chance of rain, according to the National Weather Service. Ugh. And then later in the day, which might actually be before the Indy 500 if that comes true, is the Coca-Cola 600, 400 laps, 100 is the stages. 6 Eastern time is the start time on Big Fox and PRN. And that one is 87 degrees. And again, I have to stress very, because it's very isolated thunderstorms, 30% chance of rain with the chances going down through the night. Ryan Blaney, your defending winner of that. And with that, before we go into our picks, we need to show our pick points. The chat still leads by 7 over me. Eric and Danny are lagging a little bit. Eric's down 27. Danny down 29. Well, I'll bring this in right now. David, as our guest, you get to pick first. We all have separate picks. You're basically like a cup guy coming to the Xfinity series. You don't score points, but you can take them away from us for positioning. And the max points, by the way, for Danny and Eric, we can make up this week is 48 points because of the Indy 500 counting just as much as the 600. This is the biggest points week for our picks all year. So we're going to start with the truck race. David, who wins the truck race?
Well, I'll be honest. I pulled up an entry list right before while you were saying that. So like, oh crap, I don't know who's in the truck race. I am going to go with, because this is not an educated pick from the perspective of, I think this guy's good at Charlotte, but I'm picking this based on the fact that the presenting sponsor of the Indianapolis 500 is Gainbridge, and therefore Nick Sanchez will win at Charlotte in the truck series.
That's not a bad pick. The Spire/Rev trucks have been pretty good at mile and a half this year. Danny, you get to pick ahead of me this week. This is unusual.
I do. And it's a huge weekend for this sponsor with what's happening, but potentially on Sunday. But it's going to start off with a bang when Raja Karuf gets HendrickCars.com a win to start off the weekend.
He did win Las Vegas. Ooh, that's bold. I'm actually surprised someone went there.
I almost did. That he was my second choice.
So I had Raja as my 4th choice. I had Sanchez as my 3, but my top 2 are still on the board.
Same.
I'm so sorry, chat. Give me Corey Heim.
Yep. I knew you were going to go there.
It's boring, but gosh, he's always there.
Well, I don't know if this guy was your second pick, Eric, but he is for me. I'm going to go Eckes for my pick.
No, I had a weird second pick. I'll admit
Honeycutt?
it later. Nope.
Because Honeycutt
not quite that weird.
I don't know, man. He was pretty good in that last race, the mile and a half. So yeah, okay, you can't do Eckes, so who are you going to go with, chat? I'm seeing some 98s.
Some Majeski.
Here's who Eric's second pick was.
They're not picking it. It was Brett Moffitt.
I think they're picking Majeski.
Yeah, my second pick was actually Tyler Ankrum.
Actually, now some of them are starting to.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of 98s, guys.
Yeah, it's 98. Give him Majeski.
No, I said my second pick was Tyler.
Oh, I thought you said theirs was. I didn't hear you right. I was like,
I was saying mine was a weird one too.
Okay, yeah, I had Honeycutt as my 3rd on the list, but my others got taken, or I took them. All right, David, going to Xfinity. Who do you got winning that one?
A lot of Cup guys on the list.
Okay, so I guess I know who I'm going to pick, but I'm assuming this is a Kyle Busch race. Yes, no,
Kyle Busch is in it.
He is in there.
Okay, is it William Byron, or is the Hendrick car running?
Chase Elliott. Ty Gibbs was a late add to the entry.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
And
okay.
Oh, God. Okay, well.
Oh, and Gregson in the 30. It's like Rhett Jones. I don't know who they're affiliated with, but Gregson's in it as well.
I'm going to stick with my first choice, and I promise I'm not picking the lowest number in each of the series, but I think it's going to be Cole Custer.
Okay.
It's a good pick.
Respectable. All right, Danny.
I had originally had Cole Custer as my number 1 until I took another look and realized that Kyle Busch is in this race, and I am going to go with Kyle Busch because they may not be the best in Cup, but man, they built some lightning ships in that Xfinity series.
Yeah, I thought about going Kyle Busch because RCR has probably been the best all-around team in Xfinity. You put Kyle Busch in one of those rocket ships, and he's going to soar. But Kyle Busch went winless in all 4 of his Xfinity starts last season. This is his first Xfinity start of 2024. So I will go with a more proven driver, Ty Gibbs. He'll drive the 20. They scratched Almirola at the last minute.
Damn it, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the guy I think who's been most consistent at mile and a halfs, who has been the most consistent at Charlotte, even with Cup guys in the field. I'm going to go with the 7 of Allgaier. I will give the chat Chase Elliott, who it looks like.
Yeah, they pivoted quickly.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. I don't know why they started spamming it. When you pick last, you might as well just like wait to see how the dice roll.
Yeah, because you can spam someone early on, but they're gone by the time it's your turn.
All right, David, who's going to suck in the 600? By the way, we can pick the same people for suck, pick, and dark horse on that.
We can pick or can't?
We can pick the same people. So
Yeah.
who's going to suck in the 600?
Jimmy Johnson.
I knew you were going there.
I hate to do that. My boy Jimmy was so good to me when he's in an IndyCar, but man,
Gosh.
it's been tough.
Is this going to be a clean sweep?
I'm going to go. Oh, I'm sorry. Danny goes first.
I go first.
Yeah, my mistake.
He may have won his first race in this one, but 2017 was a long time ago. Austin Dillon will suck in this one.
Yeah, that's who I was going to go with as well. It's Austin Dillon. He was in the mix here last year, right? Wasn't he charging on a late restart, or was it the year before?
So,
yeah, I'm going Austin Dillon.
Jimmy.
Just
hang it up, buddy. In the chat.
Come back to IndyCar.
Was he improving at all?
Yeah. I thought his last race at Laguna Seca was really good from a road course racing perspective, being like a 45-year-old man. And, places like Iowa and Texas, he was like a race winning contender. So I thought he's all right.
In the ovals.
Yeah. I bet he would be great at Nashville. If I had if I could somehow just put him in the Nashville finale in a Ganassi car, I would love that. That would be awesome.
Sure.
I think that's exactly the track he would be good at.
Is the chat saying the 50? Is that Heim this week?
No, I believe it's
some new
Ty,
team.
Isn't it Ty Dillon that's going to be in it?
Yes. That's why they're picking it.
They're just picking it so that Need for Speed doesn't make them pick Ty Dillon.
Yeah, just give him Ty Dillon. That's fine.
All right, who's a dark horse this weekend for the 600? We do the Indy 500 for all this, but I don't think the chat wants us to do like 8 to 10 picks for one segment.
Oh, that's all right. I'll go with Chris Buescher.
Okay. I will go Noah Gregson. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Danny, because I'm used to being
I'm
last.
used to being front. I'm used to being after you anyway, so it's okay.
Sorry.
Underdog, you know what? It's a good track for him. I'll say Bowman on this one for underdog.
This driver has finished in the top 10 in the last 2 Coke 600s. He's led laps as well. I'm going to go Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Chat is going with
all over the place.
I don't think you can count Bubba as a dark horse, seeing how he's run top 5 at most of the mile and a halfs and in the 600.
A lot of 10s and 17s, which I think we both.
I mean, Bubba only has 2 wins. I would still count him as an underdog personally.
Yeah.
I guess
you
we
just give it
can.
to him.
Bowman, he has 7 wins.
Yeah, I got. If we want to give, let's just give him Bubba.
Cats all over the place. Holy
I also
smokes.
saw some Briscoes, but yeah, that doesn't matter. They're not going to pick any of these guys to win. So
speaking of picking to win, hopefully this race is before the 600. David, putting you on a spot. Who's going to win at Indy?
So what's funny is I'm actually not going to pick my pick. I want to save that. But I'm going to try to take points away from you guys because I have a suspicion who,
Oh, don't do it.
I have a suspicion who you guys are going to pick. No, I'm not picking Larson. Don't worry. Someone can get that. Don't.
I wasn't
you
worried.
guys. I'm gonna look at that row 5. I think I mentioned it on Eric's show. And you know what? No, I'm not. I thought about it for a second. I almost picked. I'm gonna go with Rossi.
Ooh, okay.
Go with Rossi.
Danny is next.
That's not my actual pick, by the way. Stay tuned for my actual pick.
So this is my actual pick. My number 1 hometown hero, back-to-back years for Joseph Newgarden.
Ooh, first time since 01 and 02 that's happened.
Yeah, that was gonna be my pick. Shoot. I feel, David, when I talked to you earlier today, you convinced me that Penske is the safest bet. with how difficult it's likely going to be to work through the field. And I'm trying to think of Newgarden was a good pick. McLaughlin's on the pole. Do I want to go with Will Power? Will Power hasn't won a race in like 2 years, right?
Yes, but he's been close enough to where I would feel pretty confident picking him if I were you.
I think he'll finish top 5 at least. Get me some points. So I'll go Will Power. He's got a cool name.
Damn it. That was my number 1 pick.
He's got the willpower to get it done.
That's a solid pick. I think Will's one of the top 3 guys that can win the race for sure. For sure.
Damn it. Well, I did look at a stat, at least racing reference wise, that 6 of the last 7 winners started in the top 8, and the top 8 is all Chevys. So I should probably look at that side of it too.
Chevy will win the Brickyard and the Indy 500, as I said.
See, I'm more confident when it comes to the Indy 500 than winning than the Brickyard. Like I genuinely am. I got to pull up the starting grid one more time because I'm going from that top 8. Man, screw you, Eric. You should have picked somebody else. You should pick Larson. I'm not gonna. But
I'm letting you do it. Have the fun. Have some fun.
Nah, man. I'm hedging my bets. I need to hedge it on 2 different ones here. I'm also keeping track of who picked who. I mean, hasn't Santino Ferrucci always finished in the top 10, David?
Never in his Indy 500 career has he finished outside of the top 10. It's one of the most unbelievable stats thus far. I mean, he is due. He doesn't like his race car as much as he likes his qualifying car, but hopefully they get out there on Friday and he can work on it. But Santino always figures out a way to be at the front, whether he has a good car or a bad car. So it would not be a terrible pick.
I'll roll with him. For me,
right.
I'm just not wanting to finish last out of everybody. I just need to be consistent on this pick. The last couple of years, I've went out on a limb, and it seemed good until like 50 to go every damn time.
I think the chat might be going McLaughlin or
There's a fair amount of 17.
a fair amount of Larsons.
I'm gonna pull.
I'm seeing a lot of 3s though.
I would just say 3, 26, or 17. Go, chat. You got 3 choices.
I wouldn't even say 26. I'm saying just 3 and 17 mainly.
All right, poll going up now. What should we limit the votes to? Should we say till it gets to 200?
I would just literally go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 and just click it.
But if it's like super close, I mean, it might not even be close. Let's see. What
I know who I'm voting for.
Try to sabotage the chat.
Oh my God, it's close. I mean, it's not like super close, but it's close.
Yeah, Spencer brings up a good point. What if Larson doesn't race because of rain? That would be a huge blow to your point lead.
Well, you're voting for Tony Kanaan at that point, or Nolan Siegel.
Well, our thing is if you can't race, it's 0 points on the weekend.
As we've established, Jarrett's rules are extraordinary.
Oh, so you're not picking the car, you're picking the driver?
Picking the driver.
Oof. Yeah. Oof, that's rough.
And it's close. I mean,
because last week I picked Almirola for a truck race that he wasn't even in.
Danny got 0.
There's definitely a guarantee that the driver of the 3 car is going to be the same driver. There's a chance it's the driver you're voting for ain't going to be in the 17.
But that Larson storyline, man, that'd be a real good one if they got it right.
David, who is the backup? Do you know that?
We don't know yet, that's what's been so interesting. In fact, it's changed since I kind of talked about Tony Kanaan on Eric's channel. I guess so. There are 2 drivers that are eligible right now to do the Indy 500, or 3 drivers to do the Indy 500 without doing an additional rookie test. They're Nolan Siegel, who failed to qualify, Benjamin Peterson, who ran the last IndyCar oval race, and Devlin DeFrancesco, who ran the last IndyCar oval race. Tony Kanaan would have to do a refresher test, but unless I haven't looked at Twitter in the last couple of hours, that hasn't been scheduled for tomorrow. So it would have to be either tomorrow, Friday, or Saturday for him to get out on the racetrack, run 10 laps to prove that he hasn't somehow forgotten how to drive an IndyCar in the last 365 days. But there are at least 3 drivers who are eligible who could step in if need be with Kyle Larson, and Nolan Siegel would potentially be the front runner, seeing as he's been on the racetrack this month and also has some ties to McLaren owner Zach Brown. He's driven for him in sports cars with United Autosports. So if it's not Tony Kanaan, it's probably going to be Nolan Siegel.
Should be Kevin Harvick for the second straight week, replacing Kyle Larson.
You know what? Kevin Harvick in the Indy 500? Absolutely. Let's make that happen. Let's get him in a rookie test. Start him at the back. Let's go. Let's freaking go.
They went 3. It was starting to go towards.
Good choice, Chet.
Yeah, you scared
Excellent
the chat
choice.
into making the right call, probably.
Yep.
People want to see it. No one has enough confidence to say Larson can win.
And now, the last pick of the night. Who's going to win the Coca-Cola 600?
You know what? Because he won't be tired out from Indy because it will get rained out. Kyle Larson. Damn it.
That was my number 2. So I will go with my number 1, Denny Hamlin.
Ooh,
Those are my top 2.
I get to go with my number 2, Tyler Reddick.
That's my number 3. Well, I'm going to go with somebody who has shown a lot of pace at mile and a half, has gotten better at them as the years went on, and I think he needs a little bit of redemption. I'll go Mr. Popular, Chase Elliott.
Not bad. Not bad.
Chat definitely looks like it's leaning towards Blaney.
No, I'm saying a lot of 17. It's fun for Chris Buescher.
Oh, a bunch of 17s did just come in. It's probably between 12 and 17. It's a few 24s coming in now.
But it's mainly 12 and 17. I would hold those 2.
Some people are voting for 3 different cars. You can't.
Somebody voted for Jimmy.
I love it.
Delusion's a hell of a drug.
There's going to be a 39
Michael, get off your
crash.
burner.
It's turned. It's definitely Chris Buescher now. I don't.
Yeah, it's almost overwhelmingly Buescher, but we'll still let it
Damn, I picked him for my dark horse. What am I doing wrong?
Well, yeah.
I mean, how close has he been these last few weeks?
He was what was he away again? 1/1000th of a second from winning Kansas.
So let me get this right, chat. You're going with the man who flipped here a couple years ago.
And totally had COVID the week after, did not get concussed to miss that next race. I think we get on the poll here, 69%.
That is overwhelming. Didn't Blaney win this last year?
He did. And his teammate just won Wilkesboro, so I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, but who wants to pick Joey Logano?
I never thought I'd see a day where Chris Buescher overwhelmingly defeats Blaney in a confidence test here.
Well, let's get into the final Super Chat stage break of the night and finish this baby off. I don't want to keep us all up all night. So let's just roll on into that. No timer on this one. All right, I got that one here. Hunter Nixon Fishing for the 5. I like Kyle Busch, but his arrogance and never do anything wrong attitude is frustrating at times.
Ooh.
And the one time he's about to admit he was wrong, he gets punched in the face.
Yeah, last time he ever does that.
Garibuki for the 10. Not Kyle's fault that Ricky overcorrected. Also, watch the video and you'll see the 47 crew members all waiting almost in a circle like they knew it was going to happen. I hate cheap shots.
I don't disagree with the Stenhouse overcorrecting. I mean, Busch still spun him out on purpose. That was an overreaction, but Stenhouse wrecked worse than I think Busch thought he would.
Marky Mark for the 5. Kyle Busch's face when he punched Ricky Sr. was almost as red as your shirt, Eric. That was. I want some, like, I need to get a good picture, an even better one than the thumbnail of Stenhouse punching Busch, and just like edit it to look like the that one Pantera cover of one of their albums. Let's see where to go. They reset on me. Sorry. Jacob, thank you for the 5 on that one. Austin, thank you for the 5. Saying, David, anytime we've seen someone complete the double, it's a Cup guy trying it. In your opinion, what IndyCar guy would you like to see in the Coke 600?
Well, so I don't know if it would be like, I'll get to like in a second, but Marco Andretti on a video posted today, an interview with James Hinchcliffe, said he wanted to do it next year. So let's see if Marco Andretti does it next year. That would be kind of cool. In terms of I'd love to see Scott Dixon do it. I think Scott McLaughlin's probably the most well-equipped, but I would just love to see the best IndyCar driver of this generation jump in a stock car and see what he can do. He's never done it. He's expressed interest in the past. Chip Ganassi has a relationship with Justin Marks. That would be solid equipment. You could do it Project 91. Then I get a Scott Dixon NASCAR diecast number 91. So I think we all win. So yeah, and maybe Connor could do it. Connor Daly would be another one who could do it. He's got Cup experience. So there's some guys who could do it. I think it would be a lot of fun. And I would love to see it flow both ways. However, a lot of IndyCar guys, the problem I think that IndyCar guys have is that the Indy 500 is the bar none biggest race for IndyCar drivers. They don't want to split their attention away. The Coke 600's like third or fourth on the NASCAR scale. That would be like asking a NASCAR driver to do another race after the Daytona 500. It's a little bit more of an ask, I think.
That's a good comparison. That's a good point.
Antar Das for the 5. David, what's the possibility that Penske dominates and loses it, whether self-inflicted or just straight up loses it on pace?
Well, I can say this. Only 21 times in the history of the Indianapolis 500 has the pole sitter won the race. More often than not, in fact, to the tune of over 80%, the Indy 500 has been won by someone who is not in the fastest car in the field. So you have to look at, recent history. And yes, the top 8 spots has kind of dominated the conversation of who can win and who cannot. But also the best laid plans also fall the hardest, right? So even if Team Penske doesn't let a lot of the outside noise creep in and kind of affect whether or not they can control this race, we've seen in the past, Alex Palou dominated this race last year, got taken out in the pits by Rinus VeeKay. Scott Dixon was speeding in the pits the year before. Scott Dixon had a tire failure one year. I mean, there's just so many different things. I could just name 100 different ways Scott Dixon's lost the race in the last few years. But the point is the fastest cars don't always win. It's a combination of the best pit crew, the best team, and the best driver on that day, and sprinkle in a little bit of luck. So, while we're fearing a Penske domination, and it certainly could happen, and it certainly has happened in the past, I wouldn't not watch the race because you're expecting a Penske car to win. I think there's a lot of cars that can win the race, but it is going to take a little bit of luck and a little bit of bad luck for Team Penske to lose it.
Real quick, another one here from Shorty PJM for the 5. Hyper obsessing over the Ricky Kyle fight and Rookie Larson. She puts thumbs down. Focusing on Logano's domination and Penske's front row sweep with a green check mark. Unhappy. So there's some who are just wanting to focus on Penske dominating.
Yeah, there are still some big Penske fans out there. So
I love the fact that Penske dominated the weekend and nobody's talking about it in either. I mean, they straight up dominated if you look at it just like off raw numbers, and nobody said a damn word about it because of a fight in Kyle Larson. That is like got to be that, honestly, after some of the controversy over on the IndyCar side, that might be for the best.
That's like best case scenario. No one's talking about you and you're winning everything, right? No pressure.
They're going to win, like sweep both races. Nobody saw this happening. It's like, well, kind of was obvious. Blake for the 2. David, what's your favorite Indy paint scheme ever?
Ooh.
I think I might know the answer.
Well, I obviously the Buddy Lazier purple car, right? Like I love that one. But in terms of like an actual like paint scheme, or as we call them in funny car land, livery, I love the Target lightning bolt scheme. It's just, I mean, so simple. It's a red car with a yellow lightning bolt on it with a black stroke, but it just looks so awesome. Just love it. One of the greatest paint schemes ever, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's see. Silas for the 4-month member chat. Can't wait to be at Indy this Sunday. I hope it's Sunday for you and everybody who's there. As much as I want to go to that race, I hope it's right.
Well, we can all be there. It just doesn't mean we're going to be there to watch a race.
I still, as much as I want to be there, I hope for your guys' sake it runs full 500 miles uninterrupted. Fred Dog left a couple here for 5, saying if the double drivers had separate Indy races, who would win? As a good Larson, got to type a little slower, I think. Fred Dog, as good as Larson has looked this year, I think I would still choose Stewart. Oh, okay. I don't know, man. Kyle Larson is like a once in a generation talent. I mean, as much as I love Stewart, and I think he's on that plane, but man, I would love to.
What
see
kind of
we
cars are
talking
they
like-
driving?
I think IndyCar.
Are we taking a prime Tony Stewart and a prime
Kyle
Larson?
Larson? Yeah. Oh, that'd be the race for the freaking.
It would be an amazing race.
If they're driving Indy cars, I think I'd go Stewart. He's got more experience.
Well, but I think it's also like, let me double check on this.
What type of Indy cars are we racing? The modern ones or older ones?
You know, that's true too. Yeah.
So it would be a separate race than Indianapolis. That's a. You know what? One second. I'm gonna put a poll up.
It's a three-way tie.
I'm just gonna put who would win prime Kyle Larson and prime Tony Stewart and leave that up for the rest of the stream for the chat to vote on. I mean, that's open-ended. That's a great question. Because Tony Stewart is like, I think
people really forget how damn good Tony Stewart is. Like, he's winning, or he's not winning in it yet, but like he's racing drag racing right now. Yeah. He just does everything. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really freaking difficult. Like, I want to say Larson, but at the same time, I remember Tony Stewart as prime too. You
should have thrown AJ Foyt into that to really get it.
But
someone said Deegan clears both.
She's the indiganator.
Intimidating.
Let's go to the next one for Fred Dog here for the 5. What was your favorite meme of the photo where Kyle Busch sees Stenhouse standing by the trailer? Mine was your mother waiting for you after curfew.
I love that image. I haven't seen too many like specific memes made out of it, but that image was strong.
God. I mean, I saw one that said your mother after she saw your failed report card. And I was like, I had a concussed semester once where I could relate to that. They were pretty good though. Elite Biscuits for the 5. As a massive Tony fan, this whole SHR stuff is devastating. I love Noah and Larson, but no Stewart influence in NASCAR would be tough to swallow. That is a part that I think is going to be overlooked a bit about it.
Yeah, it's I'm not rooting for it. It's just it would be sad. It'd be a colossal failure on their end, and it would be disappointing for a lot of fans.
Prada, thank you for the 50. Damn. I think this one's aimed at you, Eric. It says, Eric, Carl left in 2017 after NASCAR screwed him. Edwards was on his way to his first title until NASCAR called a phantom debris caution with 16 to go. I don't blame him for leaving and not risking his health anymore.
Why was that aimed at me?
I think it was when we were talking about, I think you had said that he
I said, yeah. Well, I said Edwards, I would probably wait one more year. If they're trying to say, they're saying, I don't blame Edwards for leaving the sport. I don't blame him for retiring either. I'm just saying he retired and then disappeared. He's I
think that's also, you'd said something about the championships too or something like.
He doesn't technically have a championship. There's a lot of drivers who've been, screwed out of a champion. Mark Martin, you could argue. Dale Jr. had that fine for cursing. Like, there's been other drivers that, you could argue got screwed out of a championship. Carl Edwards is a Hall of Famer. I'm just not sure I would have put him in over Harry Gant. That's all.
Gavin here for the 5. Here's a bold prediction. The 2024 Cup champion has not won a race yet this year. It is a bold prediction, but I do like bold predictions. Austin Blandset for the 2 says, David, how close were we to seeing Jeff Gordon run in the Indy 500?
Well, he's admitted it. I was actually at IRP when he did an interview and kind of talked about how in the 80s, all the stories you hear about him being shopped around kind of at the height of the Thursday Night Thunder races there, where the midgets and sprints were, nationally televised, and they would go to IndyCar teams and they would say, well, how much money are you bringing? And that was a big fumble. There was a couple other opportunities where Jeff Gordon almost got an IndyCar ride, although it wouldn't have ironically led to him in the Indy 500 in about 1997, 1998. Team Cool Green in the kart series. He was on a short list, which included Tony Stewart and Robbie Gordon, for them to just throw a boatload of money at somebody to try to get them into kart, which would eventually move to the BAR Formula One team to get an American driver in there. It didn't happen, obviously, but yeah, I wish Jeff Gordon would have done the Indy 500. I'm glad he gets to live vicariously through Kyle Larson for sure. But yeah, I don't think we were ever super duper close to Jeff Gordon running the 500, but it's definitely something I really feel like was fumbled, that it never happened.
He looked like a dad being proud of his kid recording him on his quality
I know.
lap.
I know.
I love that. GN NASCAR fan with the 2 here says more vague predictions tonight than the NASCAR rulebook. That's pretty good. Let's see. Will Griffin for the 10 says questions for David. There's multiple here. I guess maybe just answer one as we're.
I'll go quick. Trust me.
right.
I'll go quick.
I heard WTR is rumored to go back to Cadillac and IMSA next year. Have you heard anything? Do you think Andretti Global will go to Chevy too? They are working with Cadillac and F1.
I think there's a possibility, although not a high possibility right now, that they could go to Chevy and IndyCar. I think the chance of them going to Chevy and IndyCar would be if Honda leaves. From everything I have heard, and at least right now I understand, yes, Wayne Taylor with Andretti would be going to Cadillac in IMSA.
We should really just do like a separate lightning round super chat segment at some point where people leave 12 different questions and we just go from there. Will Griffin for another 10 here. Will Penske and Pocono ever find a way back to IndyCar? Ever find a way to get IndyCar back to the track? I should say. I've read that wrong. It can work with the needed upgrades to the wall and fence. They could do a road course start if they were worried about turn 2.
They need to raise the wall in turn 2, strengthen the fences. And I would love to see IndyCars back at Pocono, but they do need to make some safety upgrades. The other thing that I think they need to do is go to an Indianapolis style start with rows of 3 evenly spread out. They did that, and then they switched to a 2-row start that looked very road coursey, and it caused a lot of the problems. The cars were too bunched up on the start. So yes, I would like to see them go back to Pocono. No, I don't think it's on the cards anytime soon.
Hoosier Films for the 5. When is MTJ not winning talk going to start? I think we talked about it a bit throughout the season. Also Super Bowls, Colts 2, Vikings 0, Texans 0, Titans 0. So shocker. I didn't know my team
technically one of those was a Baltimore Super Bowl. I don't know if we count that, but sure.
Yeah, you still got one.
You still went to a couple of Titan.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking about the one they won. I tried to forget the one that they didn't. NASCARson left 2 here for 5. David, I'll be at the Indy 500 this weekend. What time do you recommend fans get to the track if there's nice weather for the 500?
I typically say, you should be in line at 6 a.m.
And then says, anyone going to the 2024 600 or Indy 500? I went in 2014 to the 600 and won't again. I've gone to every Indy 500 in person since 2011, except that year and 2020. I mean, I might be going if it's rained out. Ross Crash Stain for the 6-month member chat. Give me Jimmy or give me death. 84 in the 84. Death may come sooner. Oh. And you might live a long, happy, and healthy life.
Let's hope so.
Napa Racing fan for the 2. IndyCar to Fox, NBA to NBC, likely, and Diffie to Cup. I mean, that seems pretty likely in all fronts.
50-50. 50-50.
50-50 now?
I would say, so from what I understand, again, this is what I understand, Fox has offered more money. NBC has offered more network races.
I'd go with the network races at this point just for the exposure.
So that's what it's coming down to. It's up to Roger to make the decision.
That might not be the best to make a decision then based on recent ones.
You said that, not me.
I'm on the NASCAR side though, so I think I have the liberty to say a little bit of it. I will not put you in that spot tonight.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking
Everything's
about?
Great.
Everything's negativity out. Okay.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Hunter Nixon fishing for the 10. Prime John West Townley would smoke both Larson and Stewart.
Absolutely.
Bobby Blair for the 10. Hey, David, I know you were a huge Buddy Lazier fan, but who was your favorite driver throughout the late 2000s and early 2010s? Did you have one, or is that when you became more neutral? Love your content.
I did. So, I mean, I became neutral when I really started to cover the racing. Now, I say this with the caveat that I cover a lot of these guys now, and they are participating in the Indy 500, 2 of the 3. So there is no bias towards these guys, certainly not, especially. But I'll tell you, I don't care. I was a Graham Rahal fan, then Ryan Hunter-Reay, and then Simon Pagenaud. So it was really cool, like when I started covering the racing, that Simon Pagenaud walked up to me in a media thing and went, "You're the best. I love your stuff. You ask the best questions." I'm like, I used to have your face on a shirt, dude. But it was that. Yeah, it's cool,
That's
man.
cool.
It was neat.
That's awesome,
hilarious.
man. I love that, like, all of us probably have a story where we came up to somebody or like had an awesome experience with somebody we used to root for. Like, for the three of us, I had to say, I think of this show in particular, it's probably when we had Mark Martin on, and we're all just sitting there like, keep talking forever, Mark. That was a great.
Dude, I still get starstruck when I talk to guys like Scott Dixon and Will Power. They still scare the hell out of me. I sit there and I'm like,
well, when me and Danny interviewed Jimmy Johnson back in 2020, my grandpa, I was in his garage at the time because I had the best internet, best aesthetics, everything like that, and he had a camera up.
And I was in the middle of New England.
Yeah, that's right. And so we did the interview, and me and Danny finished it up, and Jimmy left, and we was like, yeah, we did it. We got it done right. Because, like, we didn't want to screw it up. You know, it'd taken forever. It was right before the Texas race was supposed to run that ended up on a Wednesday that week.
Didn't his PR person also try to come in like midway through?
Yeah. But my grandpa caught the whole thing of like us being like, yes, we got it done. Like, we were just happy to get it done right. Because, like, there's so many snags and little things because of the Texas stuff. So that was awesome. Last
Good times.
2 super chats here. First from Napa 927. I'm going to say that from now on because it's a little shorter for 2. David's thoughts. Oh, wait, there's 3. Jesus Christ, guys, there's a lot. So
you're welcome for all this money, guys.
I appreciate it. Well, he wants to know your thoughts on the in-season tournament for Prime and TNT with NASCAR next year.
So I haven't looked into it as much as I wish I would have. I'm a little bit busy this month, as you might understand. Yeah. I saw the initial post and I kind of scratched my head and I said, huh? Because I knew Denny Hamlin had kind of made the put the idea out there. I mean, it is. So looking at it from my perspective as a snotty elitist purist, I go, oh, they're stealing the idea from basketball. But I guess it makes sense because Amazon and Turner Sports want to make a little bit of a difference. You know, they want to hype up their own kind of championship. I'm curious to see how it plays out. I think it's going to end up with a lot of things in the similar vein to what we saw with Ricky Stenhouse and Kyle Busch, which is there's going to be a lot of people mad at each other because they're going to be racing each other for a spot in the in-season tournament for 30th and wrecking each other. And so I think there's certainly, I think the TV company is going to get what they want out of it. I'm a little bit concerned that eventually NASCAR is going to kind of evolve to having a TV championship for each of their partners. So I think you got to be careful about that. But I don't know. I mean, I have an open mind. I mean, especially TNT does such a good job with their NBA coverage that I'm actually really excited to see what they bring to the NASCAR Cup Series, and especially with Dale Jr. helping them out. I think it's going to be big.
I'm going to bring something up. This couldn't come up naturally without somebody asking about it, but now it's here. I don't know if you guys saw, but Dale Jr. is actually pushing for the winner of the in-season tournament to be given extra points and a first-round bye in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't like
I'm
that.
not joking.
No.
That's Dale Jr. saying that.
Dale, buddy, what are you doing, man? Come on, man.
I'm on that train of the come on, man train.
Come on, man.
It's a fun idea. Don't jump the shark. GT Rain for the 2 said, "Pack it up, David."
Yeah, Chris is in my house. He said, so you're welcome for that $2.
I appreciate it.
Man, they're paying Jarrett rent. Not you, David. This is how backwards
I know.
is this?
What is going? Well, he did. So Chris did get this wheel for me. So that was his payment for.
It's worth a little more than $2.
I know. It was great.
If I'm up there Monday or Tuesday, I'll buy you a soda with it. How about that?
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that.
It'll end up back to you.
I probably like soda too much, actually.
I'm right there with you, so don't worry.
Andrew for the 13-month member chat. This one's definitely for you, David. Says, when will Dan Weldon's kids make it to Indy?
Very soon. Sebastian is already in Formula 4. So realistically, if he goes to every rung of the road to Indy and doesn't skip any parts of the ladder, we're looking at 4 to 5 years that realistically he could be in IndyCar. They've got the backing of the Guggenheims, which are the kind of the financial arm behind Andretti. They own like Gainbridge and Delaware Life and a lot of those things, and they support the Weldon. So if the Weldon kids want to be in IndyCar, they will be eventually, one way or the other, for sure.
And then the last one is from Austin here for 2. Says, love you guys. Love you too, buddy. Good to see you in the chat. And we're going to end the poll right now in a shocking, maybe upset. Prime Kyle Larson wins at 51% to 49% on Stewart.
Wow. See, I voted for Stewart as a protest vote that AJ wasn't on there because I would have voted for AJ.
I probably should have. I was just putting it after the super chat. Last one from Austin here says, last one I promise, but David, does Elio come? Does he get a top 5 or get 5?
Get his 5th win, I think you should ask.
I think that's what he means, yeah.
I think there is a possibility. He's got a lot of the guys from his crew, his race winning crew in 2021. He's got a brand new chassis. There's a lot of things working in Elio's favor. He's starting a little further back than I would want him to. On my tier list today that I put out, I put him in the top 10. So I think he's got a good car. I mean, obviously Elio knows how to win the race, right? It's an uphill battle, but not an impossible battle.
Well, David, I appreciate you coming on tonight. We'll get get through this last little bit here and roll out, and then we can give a little like Midwestern goodbye after the show. Fellow Midwesterner here, former Midwesterner. But I mean, I'm pretty sure based on the chat's reception they know. But where can people find you in particular this weekend at Indianapolis? I know your channel. I have it linked in the description. Where can they find you at the track if they're going to the 500?
Oh, well, so at the track, I mean, here, there, and everywhere. I try to, when people say hi, to shake their hand, ask for their name, say what's up, because I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the folks who watch my stuff. I mean, I genuinely mean that. And, it's I don't think there's necessarily a designated meetup spot. I mean, it's so interesting because a lot of people ask me to do that. And I probably should like organize something like Bob Pockris or some of the other guys do. But a lot of times, like, I thankfully have some other guys helping me out this month, but the rest of the year, it's mostly a one-man show most of the time. So it's kind of hard to like schedule and find a time to do it. So, I mean, I don't have anything specific, but if you see me, say hi. I mean, I love meeting everybody, and it's always great to meet supporters and viewers because like you guys all know, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be on this podcast if there weren't people that are willing to watch our content, support us, and talk about us. I mean, I'll tell you, this is the last thing. If you've checked me out on Twitter recently, I went downtown to eat, and there was a building downtown Speedway that was running our starting grid video on a loop. And it was surreal. It's like on 2 big screens. And it's that's just awesome, surreal that's happening. I mean, they didn't ask. Like they just put up. No, and it's cool. Like
they will get a cease and desist in the mail.
No. That's a free.
Oh, you're making me money by playing my video over and over. I cannot allow it.
That is a free billboard in downtown Speedway the weekend of the 500. I wouldn't send them a cease and desist for any reason whatsoever. No, it's but that's the kind of stuff, and that wouldn't happen if there weren't viewers. So I mean, it's awesome. So I mean. There's not a specific meetup, but if you see me, say hi. That's what I'll say.
Awesome.
Well, David, we appreciate you being on. And to remind everyone watching right now, next week we'll be on Danny B's channel, Wednesday, May 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I mean, hopefully the Indy 500 has run Sunday or at the latest Monday. I want
hell. You guys could have me on Wednesday again just to do a post race from the IndyCar from the IMS Media Center. At this point, I mean,
stay after the show. I might have something that'll pique your interest on that one real quick.
Okay. There's about to be a riot in my house, so hurry up.
and we have Jeff Fabiano coming on Danny's channel, and then June 5th, our buddy Raw Gator returns to YouTube coming on the show, so it should be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's always a marathon on this show these days. So we appreciate you, David, for sticking it out with us. And until next time, have a good one. Later, y'all. Also, here's to curse the NASCAR fans in the chat.
Oh, Danica.
Bye.
Where did that come from?
That's a pretty car.
Had it on my desk for a bit.
That was a nice looking car. Yeah.
Drivers, start your engines! Ready, green flag, green flag.
Oh, we're not clear. We're not clear, Kyle. We're not clear. Don't come in here and swear. Kyle's about to throw me up.
You guys are really good.
I didn't say anything bad.
Hang on, dude, baby. Did not hit a thing. Why you wait so long, man? Bottom, clear, shaking.
Hi, chat.
White flag.
How you
Well,
doing?
we're
This
just
is
talking.
my
How you
channel
all
now.
doing?
Did he hear us over the music?
I hope the chat's having a good time. Listen to us afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
I mean, yeah.